Hopefully. Yes, we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to today's live stream, which promises to be our shortest live stream, hopefully, because we don't have Varun joining us in either the live stream or in the
Or
comments.
in the
So
comments.
we have five viewers. I'm very glad that we have five viewers on the 19th second, which is the first time this has happened. So thank you for whoever has chimed in.
Chimed in.
Yes, but yes, let us know who all is there in the comments and drop in your favorites of this past month, maybe, and to tell us what exactly interested you in many ways. But Chris is here. Hi, Chris. How are you? Chris has followed my advice and watched two Claire Denis films, so I'm buzzing about the fact that he liked it and didn't hate me after that. Anyways, there's others. I think Pixel Baba is one of them. So yes, hi, Arvind is here. Hi, Arvind. How are you? Uh, Give us the movies that you guys liked. Of course, always it's best to have more recommendations, but we will be talking specifically about two films slash mini series each. And I think there's a fair amount of overlap in the sense that we've watched some of the films that the others are recommending, so we can have a discussion on it. Largely we'll keep it spoiler free because it's still a recommendation sort of thing. um,
To all
but
the people who did
before
not like any films of the last month, that's fine too. You can just say
that
that.
is also okay, of course.
Yes, you can
But
just say that. No issue.
before that, I think before I forget, even before we start with the favorites, we would also like Amartya, because this was another topic we introduced in our stories, like, and some people voted for this movie to be discussed, and Amartya duly obliged and sort of went to go and see this. So Amartya, can we have a few words on Mr. and Mrs. Mahi, starring Rajkumar Rao and Janvi Kapoor?
Huh. This is hard, huh? To be very normal about a
I thought
movie.
you
Okay,
liked
this is
it.
very
I
hard.
mean, didn't
This is
mind
very,
it.
yeah, I didn't mind it. It's like
Yeah.
when your expectations are that low, you usually find something to be very nice about. But actually, I didn't mind it. I think so. If it's a movie about cricket, I think one of the disappointing aspects was that the cricket wasn't shown that great. One of the positives of Maidan was the football sequences were actually shown very well,
Sure.
and also that Mr. and Mrs. Mahi, the name itself signifies a partnership, right? A partnership in marriage, which is equating itself to the partnership at the pitch between two people in cricket.
Yep.
That partnership wasn't shown itself in the screenplay because Janvi Kapoor's character isn't given that space, which is
Okay.
a bit of an issue. But
Sure.
I do think that this movie, yeah, I can't say it is boring because I think
Okay.
Rajkumar Rao's performance is actually very compelling for me. I
Okay.
think he evokes a very specific form of the beta male characteristic, the person who is so emasculated as well as so battered down by their parents' expectations that
Hmm.
when he gets a chance to live a life of success vicariously through his partner, he
Yeah.
decides to take that option and then use his partner as a ladder for his own ends.
Sure.
So
And the film
it's a very
acknowledges that.
fascinating
Basically,
aspect.
most men.
Thank you, Ahi. Thank you. So my perspective here is the fact that they create a very unlikable protagonist, and the
Sure.
character arc of Rajkumar Rao's is
Yeah.
also very much, how do I put this? It's very incremental in a regard. It's not as if third act may it suddenly becomes a full turnaround. It doesn't
Sure.
happen that way.
No,
It's
but
very
it has
incremental
the
step
self
by step.
awareness to address that, right? Rather than just go on with
Yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like
Which
like
is
he
a trope
doesn't
even in
complete.
something like Dangal. I mean,
Yeah,
even it's
he
a good
doesn't
film. Like,
completely
yeah.
become a super nice guy by the end. It's not that, but it's
Sure.
like you can understand that the progression has happened. So that's good, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you, Debulina. I mean, you're excited for our episode. That's a big thing. And
that's the biggest thing ever. Yes.
yeah. And Ahendrila, you are most welcome whenever you are free.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
How is Sharan
however,
Sharma?
how, yes, this you can
I
answer. I've
haven't
not seen Gunjan
seen Gunjan
Saxena.
Saxena.
Oh,
Let
you've
me
not
be
seen it?
outright. I haven't
Okay.
seen it, but I think Sharan Sharma is a person who is very, used to taking close-ups, right? So
Okay.
he is very proficient at capturing expressions, evoking micro expressions throughout, and
Sure.
using that as a launch pad for actors to express what is actually being shown in the screenplay. I
Yeah.
think that works to his advantage as well as disadvantage, because the disadvantage is he does that same Petra in the sports sections. And in the sports
Okay.
sections, you can't always do that, because that means that you're cheating the overall physicality.
Got it.
Somebody
So you
else is
basically,
playing the
but
sequences.
do you not
Yeah.
think it's better to focus on a close up when wide shot में if they probably don't like you have
Yeah,
like your gold type
true.
की fake crowd लगता है कि कहीं कोई cricket or seven से
yeah.
crowd उठा के ले आया है like
First
the
of all,
game.
the cricket matches are state matches. Okay, वैसे भी crowd for नहीं होता है,
अच्छा,
so that is realistic
okay.
anyway. That is number
Okay.
one. Number two is कि the person who is playing the sport is the female.
Yeah.
Okay. Rajkumar Rao, I think the subversion here is who is the underdog. The underdog is Rajkumar Rao's character, who is the coach for his wife.
Sure.
Again, living vicariously through his partner. But his wife is the person who is actively fulfilling her dream. So if you are
Yeah.
going to do that, at least show how she's playing the sport. I
Sure.
don't think it succeeded that well in that regard.
Got it. Got it. I mean, there's
That's
other
all.
complaints also from Chris Patrick, which I think are totally valid.
Yes.
Yes.
Again,
Uh,
yes.
okay.
Again, I'm not Dhruv. Let's be very clear.
I have
But
not
anyway.
seen Gunjan Saxena. I've not seen
Oh,
Gunjan Saxena.
I'm surprised you haven't.
Gunjan
But
Saxena
okay.
is which film?
The
Janvi Kapoor playing the
aeroplane father is
Yeah.
Pankaj Tripathi.
Okay.
Yeah, father is
Yeah,
Pankaj
yeah.
Tripathi. In
It has a
254th
very
version of
underrated
Pankaj Tripathi. Yeah.
Yeah. So like
It's
I had heard
underrated.
praises only when it came through.
No,
I don't know.
it's very generic, that's all.
Generic,
It's textbook.
Yes.
Yeah.
For people who were asking, because I got a message from one friend of mine who asked how is Janvi Kapoor in the film, I can say that she is, the amount of space her character gets, I think she's decent.
Sure.
That much I can put it.
You've seen Bawal, right? Or have you guys seen Bawal?
Unfortunately, yes.
You have seen it. She was good in
Yes.
that. I mean, how that depends
I
on how
don't
you
think
can
anyone
bear
will
with
save
us.
that movie.
Holocaust.
The Holocaust and
Holocaust.
marriage are the same thing.
Holocaust and marriage are the same thing.
This is the film's idea. I do not.
Yes,
I'm not
yes,
making
yes.
that.
Yes, we are not endorsing. We are not
Yes.
endorsing the fact that every marriage is an Auschwitz. That's not a
It's
sequence we
okay.
really want to.
Yeah.
But
Eddie.
wow, that film में Janvi Kapoor had nothing to do, Manye. It was
Okay.
just
It's kind of here also. It's kind of in this
Oh.
also.
Okay,
She
amazing.
kind of has nothing to do only.
Okay,
yeah, I mean,
so same, I
Bawal
think
mein
Chris
to it
Patrick
was
is in
only
Yeah, exactly. Na. Again, it's a very
Bawal
generic
mein
film,
to
but
it was just Varun Dhawan emoting to all the horrors of Holocaust.
that. Okay, fine. I think we will
The
skip
male-
the Bawal talk.
let's skip the
I
Bawal
skipped
talk.
the
Yes,
movie
because
also.
that will push us
yes.
to uncharted territory. That's not.
Yes, which Sanjeet has not allowed us to reach today.
Yes,
So,
Sanjeet has not allowed
producer
us to
notes
do
are
that.
being taken as much as we are
Yes.
being civil today.
Yes.
But anyways, moving on to our favorites, we'll begin with the one favorite which we discussed a little bit in the last live stream we did, but because we had a Q&A and we were answering a lot of the questions, it was not discussed in depth at all, I feel. So we are going to be tackling Luca Guadagnino's challengers first, which is Ahendrila's pick and Amartya's pick also, sort of, because he really liked the film whenever he watched it. It's not my pick, but I guess we can have that rally of why does one person like it much more than why the other person. But I liked it. I just don't love it. Is the other thing. But yes, go ahead, Ahendrila. What did you like so much about
Before
Challengers?
I say anything about Challengers, let me also tell you that I only watched some 10 films this month, okay?
That's
Like
okay.
last month. And the
That's okay.
only one that even stands chance to be discussed is Challengers because
Sure, got
everything
it.
else was, yeah. So, which is why Challengers is the pick. Otherwise, I watched what? Kung Fu Panda 4. So,
How was that? Not good?
it was cute.
It's kind of
I watched it with
I'm a huge fan of 1, 2, and
Oh.
3. So I'm disappointed that it's like 3 पे खत्म हो गया था, so they are just gonna,
Ha,
keep on going
exactly.
with
Like
it. Yeah.
three was great, and then
Yeah.
this one felt like, I mean, I was also sitting in a theater with 10 children laughing at the same joke. So
Oh,
I don't
fine.
know.
आप
It
भी तो
was just
child ही
one
हो,
of those.
आप भी तो child ही हो mentally.
I don't know it's a consult or an insult, but that's okay. Move on. Point is, yeah. So the other movies that I watched were things like that, like a Kung Fu Panda
Sure.
4, or I
Word.
rewatched Tiruchitrambalam. So things like that. So of course, Challengers stood out for me, but
Sure.
also Challengers felt really, really intense. I think it's the intensity of the challengers, like the emotional
Hmm.
bandwidth of tennis as well as their relationships that really captivated me. Which is
Yeah,
why
yeah,
I thought
absolutely.
Challengers was very engaging because I was personally, on a very personal note, finding it very difficult to sit through a film. And
Sure.
this is the film that made me like sit down and concentrate, apart
Yeah.
from the fact that there are a lot of hot people in it and always doing hyper stuff. So,
Yes.
Guadagnino का काम हो गया. People were, you know,
Yeah, but he's good at
expected to
making.
see
I
yeah,
tons
mean,
of hot people.
he's good at casting good-looking people and then making them more good-looking, which I think is fair enough, right? And
I
even
mean,
in
I can't
this,
say
yeah.
that for Bones and all. I can't say that for Bones and all.
I mean, people found him attractive, so I can't really knock against that. Mark
Yeah.
Rylance is on drugs in that movie or something. I have no idea what he's
See,
doing
if
in
you're
that
wearing a
movie.
top hat and acting like a 1930s ka greatest
I have
showman type
no
vibe,
idea
you are
what
on
he was
drugs.
told. Anyways,
That's
but no,
fine.
but that is his general shtick. He's bigger splash is literally Ray Fiennes, Tilda Swinton, Dakota, what is her name?
Dakota
Johnson?
Johnson.
Madam
Johnson,
Web
Johnson.
fame. Just to, she's like, again, I think a lot of people do find her generally attractive. And in that movie, he does the whole sensual thing. He turns it up to 100, sort of
It's
like that. So, which
basically a
is
remake
similar.
of La Piscine also, right? That Alain
Yes,
Delon movie.
some
Yeah.
French movie which I've
French
never
movie,
not
La
seen.
Piscine.
Yeah, is known
No,
for
but it's actually
Hmm.
yeah.
yeah.
It's actually true. Like the way he also shot. I have forgotten the name of the film. What is the name
Call
of
Me
the
by Your Name.
film? Course. Yes.
Thank
The
you.
way he
Thank you.
also
Dumb charades नहीं खेलना पड़ा. Thank you. Let's continue.
sorry.
I mean, yeah,
It always appears blank in my head. Sorry. So
it's
yeah,
okay.
Call Me
Yes.
by Your Name is also intense. I personally believe that's one
Hmm.
of the. It's a great film because it also complements the novel. So that's something that I've really appreciated about his screenplays all the time because they're so intense. They're packed in a way that they
Yeah,
make everything seem organic, which
yeah.
is why Tashi walking out. Oh, that's spoiled. But okay,
No, no, no. We
basically
can.
Tashi walking
I
Not a
think in
spoiler. We are
general
spoiling it. It's fine.
so challenges. I think most people have seen. So I'm just gonna say that we are gonna indulge in some spoilers here. Not probably not major ones, but we can talk a little bit about the spoilers. That's okay.
Yeah, so basically, the fact that Tashi walks out and there's like a raging storm situation in the city, and then everything that follows is essentially it feels like the whole story builds up to it. That there is a certain electricity to the whole thing, and then it's just the weather that adds up to that whole. It's like fuel to the fire sort of scene,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
which is why
storm, right? Essentially.
Challengers,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Challengers felt intense because everything felt like they should just like, okay, now drop this act and have sex. So that's how
No,
all
but it's
scenes felt
true.
like, and
Yeah, yeah.
which is what they were
They're going
intending to
for.
also make it feel like. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is and they commute if it got communicated well to the audience, then I think it's a film well done. As easy as
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'll address some of the other comments that come through. Is this Dhoni's? Well, that's the publicity thing they were doing, I
I
suppose,
mean,
right?
Rajkumar Rao's character is named Mahendra, and Janvi Kapoor's character's name is named Mahima. So it's, I think I wrote in the review also. It's like cricket is their love language, quote unquote. It's a better idea than executed, to be very honest
Sure.
with you.
Okay. Uh, so this is Gursimran recommends us a film, and I know I've been hearing about this a
I've
fair
been
bit. It's on
hearing
Mubi,
great
right?
things about this. Yes,
So
yes.
this is Jaggi by Anmol Sidhu. Gursimran, we'll make sure to watch it, and I'm sure we'll be discussing it sometime in either in passing or if we really like it, then as a whole live stream or episode because we'll see how it goes. But yes, thank you for the recommendation a lot. And yes, as Chris Patrick is saying, happy Pride, everyone. Yes, so we have 2 episodes also coming this month, which are centered on Bollywood and queerness in Bollywood. So we're going to sort of talk about those in detail on the podcast. minor promotion is always needed. But anyways, going back to challengers, which is also actually fitting if we are going to the pride thing. Actually, we're not. So yes, we can talk about the sort of homoeroticism of the film, and I mean, see, we can. So I think I love the whole tennis and relationship analogy, whatever he's drawing essentially, in the sense of, and I like how the screenplay sort of also complements it. Like, you're being thrown back at one point to show who is in charge, and then you get thrown. That sort of mimics of what's happening in the match, in the final match between them, and it's sort of, juggling those two things really well. I think the direction is as expressive as expressive gets, which is great. I think you
It
need
should
some.
be. I mean, considering the material that has been given, I think the direction
Yeah,
actually complements the material itself, right?
yeah,
Because I also think that what people aren't, I mean, people are talking about it, but I think it needs to be addressed as well. I think the music is contributing a lot.
yes. I mean, we
I
are
think
in disagreement here, but yes, we will talk about
massively,
Trent
yes,
Reznor and
true.
Atticus Ross music. Yeah.
Yes, but I think
No, no, no.
Reznor,
So, Bolo, you guys, I understand what my issue with it is, but you go ahead and
I
praise
think
it.
no, I think one of the bigger criticisms of using a score or overusing a score is which some samples of score you're using and what's the repetitiveness of the score that you're using.
Yeah,
So if you consider that, and if you see in emotional segments or when something is so raw between these two actors, the score which is being implemented in the background, it's like a build up score, and that is done through the typical Reznor and Ross's, heavy baseline playing, the
yeah.
EDM infused score,
EDM
which is,
almost. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, EDM infused score, which is completely, taking over. But it really isn't, because it's like if you are taking over but you're also complementing how the emotion is threatening to burst over. It's like the
Sure,
music as well as the emotionality of the script is working in parallel.
sure. No, no,
So
I get why people are so drawn by the music. I was in the position where when I was listening it, I was like, oh, this is very good music. As opposed to this is, I'm into the scene and it's flowing with the scene. Like there are some, I think the EDM stuff actually, I was a bit like, do we need it here? Like in my head, I was, of course. And the reason, and because I was thinking that is where I thought the score isn't working for me, right?
but I
I
also
actually,
think that the score also kind of worked with the edit. Like if you remember, there is a shot in which, one side in which Mike Faith's character is beginning his serve. It cuts to immediately. It cuts to like parallelly. It's framed like a master shot, but it isn't. It cuts from Mike Faith to Josh O'Connor's version, in which he's
sure.
moving the screenplay again, and it's like
No, it's beautifully edited, the film in
it's
general, I think.
beautifully
So,
edited, but it's
yeah.
like the music is also complementing with the edit,
Complementing, yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like at that exact moment a drum snare is occurring. So it's like if you're editing that, it's editing with the snare.
Sure.
So
Sure, sure,
it's
sure.
very,
Got it.
pointedly done,
Yeah.
each of the section, and I'm like, and considering what the movie is about, like
Yeah.
everything is about tennis except tennis is about sex.
Yeah.
That's, and I'm like, okay then. And the
No, and I
fact that
think, no, we can bring in the sort of, I mean, I know he's not here to defend himself, so it's probably not right to bring it. But I will bring up Varun's thing on the whole tennis, like what kind of analogy it is and all that. I'm like, I think he thinks, or at least he's expressed it multiple times, that he thinks the analogy is quite ridiculous, which it is almost, you can say that. But for me, it's like when you can make something ridiculous seem very natural, that is the whole thing about the film. I feel like that's
the
that's where
conceit
the director comes into it and makes
the
you feel.
conceit of basketball is basically taking a massive ball by 7 foot tall people, dribbling it and then throwing it into a basket which is shaped like a hole.
Nice.
With me so far? The
No, we
conceit
are
of
with you.
baseball
Yes.
is a ball is being thrown and somebody whacks it hard.
Yeah.
With me so far?
I am with you. Don't try to prove me.
Understanding which of the words I'm using. Any
I
sport
have.
can be taken as an analogy of any sort of physical act if the filmmaker and the screenwriter knows exactly how to use it.
Yeah. And even the actors know how to sell it. I feel that's the
And the
other
actors
thing.
are knowing exactly how to
No, I
sell it.
mean exactly what I was meaning to ask. I mean, it would be great if Varun were here,
Yeah.
but why is it ridiculous? Like it can be anything. Uh,
Exactly.
like Amartya said, I had a so every time I interview somebody for my team and everything at work,
Correct.
slight deviation, but
Yeah.
every time I interview somebody for my team, I end up asking like this very standard question about what do you think is the difference between sensual and erotic, because that's the kind of
Hmm.
content that we are dealing with at all
Hmm.
times. And there's this, I'm saying this on live stream also, but
Hmm.
there's this particular candidate who had once responded saying
Hmm.
when you are pouring whiskey into a glass, it can be sensual. When you
Hmm.
are pouring whiskey on somebody's body and then making a scene out of it, maybe that is erotic.
Hmm.
And that I feel is like a great way of expressing the difference.
Hmm.
Here,
Yeah.
throughout the film, they also make this differentiation very clear. They
Yeah.
are
Exactly.
making a game a sensual act itself.
Hmm.
And that is fantastic. They are never
Yeah. Yeah.
really stressing or eroticizing the whole act except in a few places. And even then, it's the human
No, no,
beings who are
it's very
doing it.
playfully done. Like it's the whole
And it's
like
also
very phallic objects are very like now
and it's
symbolism
also
can sort of pass
highlighting the
through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
physicality of a sport like tennis and highlighting
yeah,
the fact that sex itself is a very physical thing. It's
You do you
physicality being
actually
highlighted.
see any of them having sex in the film? No, right?
Not directly,
there's,
it's
No,
like they show
indirectly it's implied, but
nudity.
you actually don't
Yeah, they
see
show.
it
Yeah.
happening in the
yeah,
film,
I mean,
right?
you
Which is
don't need
probably
to
a very
show.
deliberate. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I
exactly.
mean, okay, it's the basic thing of what happens in any erotica as well. As well, I think well written erotica or a well filmed erotica. It's the fact that it's more about the build up
Example.
than about the climax. It's more about the build up than about the climax. I mean,
Example to those, sir.
I mean, person जो example दे सकती है वो यहाँ पर बैठी है. But you
No,
get the
you can also
idea.
give an example.
Look, I have seen Basic Instinct, I have seen Branded to Kill. You realize what I'm talking about. It's like
Yeah.
if you're, it's more about the build up and less about the climax. And here the climax is all shown via any sort of objects related to tennis. Sexual frustration, break the racket.
Yeah. I mean,
Sexual
it's
climax,
the
hit
the
the ball harder.
gesture also of
It's a gesture also,
the
yes.
whole gesture inside the racket, which is
Yes.
the
yeah.
other thing. Yeah, right. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Which is why, when you finally see it coming, when you know that this is
When you
going
know
to
that it's
happen,
coming.
you're left with that smile. You're just like, okay, now I know what's happening. I just want to
yeah,
see how the reaction to this is. Which
Hmm.
sure,
is why I
you're
think the
right.
final sequence is fantastic. And that's where the whole peppy music ties up. Because
Yes.
otherwise you would have expected like an absolute quietude. And
Yeah.
it's just the either sweat dripping or ball flipping or something
Hmm.
of that sort. But the way
Hmm.
it also manages to make the sport itself more engaging with the music, I think that really
Yeah.
helped me also sit through it, because I
No, no,
would
I
not
get.
sit down and
No, I
watch
think
tennis match.
that was the whole even idea. I think Guadagnino finds tennis very boring. I think that's what he said, which I think is
Good.
why there's a attempt to juice every bit of it up, and it shows. Like I mean, again, what you're saying
I
about the
also
music in the finale makes a lot of sense to me
I
also, and I
also
think it
think
works there. Huh?
I
Boliye.
also think the finale section of the camera being a point of view shot, a point of view shot
Yeah,
of that
the ball.
arm
No,
control,
but but
Yeah.
arm control
there
thing. Yeah.
but there I do, because I will not end up writing my essay idea. Might as well discuss here. Which is I do think I'm so sorry, Alberto, but I just have no time. So because I we have been Amurta and I spoke about this at length, or I spoke
Mm.
about it at length, and he just heard me out. Was that I think a
That's what
lot.
I do nowadays. I hear people out instead
That's
of letting
good,
them write it.
Amartya.
Instead of letting them
Yeah,
write
okay.
it. Yeah.
Just don't sell yourself. It's okay, whatever. So the point is,
I thought
the
that was the
point
whole
is,
point. Didn't it?
why? Never mind. Um, so this is not the Diamond Bazaar. Like, what are we
Yes,
talking about?
this is definitely not. Though it's coming back for a season 2. We are not going there. This is definitely not.
No. So something that I really, really enjoyed about this whole film and the analogy is also that, and bear with me for a minute, I'm going to go a little wild, so you may want to stick through this. Is
No, no,
You're
that
go
supposed
ahead.
to?
sorry? Is that there is a lot of voyeurism involved in sports as well.
Hmm.
Sports is also, it is as much about the people who are playing as it is about the audience who's out there watching you play, which is
Yeah.
why I think it's a great thing that
Mhm.
throughout the film it is not just sex as an act that is focused on, and sex, tennis, whatever, A equals to B
Mhm.
equals to C sort of situation.
Mhm.
It's also the idea that voyeurism in sex and voyeurism in tennis
Mm.
are equated.
Others. Mhm.
And voyeurism in a sexual act, especially if you're considering a threesome here,
Mhm.
is also it's also a non-normative way of looking at a sexual encounter
Mhm.
or an
Mhm.
intimate act, which is
Mhm.
why then there is, apart from the whole Amartya's fine, which is why apart from the whole homoerotic
Yeah,
and
musibat.
homosocial aspects of,
No, no, go ahead,
which is
please
why
don't.
apart from
Yeah.
the whole homoerotic and homosocial, it's more
Mm.
homosocial than
Hmm.
homoerotic according
Mhm.
to how it's portrayed in the movie.
Mhm.
Apart from the whole homosocial aspect of it, I think, which is like evident in the characters themselves, the other homoerotic angle that is brought in is a very queer angle, and that is the
Mm.
whole angle
Yes.
of voyeurism itself,
Mhm.
Hmm.
which I think is then fantastic
Mhm.
because I mean, when you think about a threesome, especially as it's also, I mean, why will you think about it? Sorry, but like when you think
I
about
mean, we
how it's
can.
portrayed in the film itself, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, that's for private chambers. But
Yes.
when you actually like think about
Mm.
also the scene where Tashi is present with the two men,
Yeah.
and how much time she also spends in just watching them do things, it's like she's deriving a second-hand pleasure out of
Yeah.
the whole act that goes on between the two men.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that I think is a point where the director then introduces the whole concept of voyeurism also into the film, which is
Hmm.
Yeah.
already present with the whole sports watching.
Yeah.
So that is another very interesting angle about Challengers, I thought, because it
Mhm.
almost introduces and like stresses upon the homosocial aspect of sex in the whole
Can,
film.
Yeah.
can I build
No.
upon your
Awesome.
point for a minute?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the climax
No.
itself is what I think the climax itself is what she's talking about. I think the climax is effectively quote unquote climaxing upon her thesis only, because
Yeah.
it's like
Zendaya's
when
last
you're
reaction
yeah,
climaxes the film,
yeah,
right?
exactly. So it's
So,
like when
yeah.
you are through the perspective of the ball as well as the racket and everything, it's like you
Mm.
as an audience, you are in conjunction with the players, you are effectively the voyeur as well as the person in the middle of the action.
Sorry, one
It's
second.
the
I'm just gonna.
next, yeah.
Nice.
The Queen's Gambit,
Uh,
sir. Queen's Gambit, देखो. Queen's Gambit,
Make
देखो.
some other title out of it, like a funkier
Yeah, yeah,
title. Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Anyways, yeah.
I think the climax itself is basically like the audience is in the middle of the action with the players itself in the narrative, right?
Yeah.
And it's like both of them finally realizing and equating chess with their own friendship as well as their own relationship, and the
Chess.
spectate yeah, and
Okay.
both of them
Okay.
effectively,
Okay. Fine.
yeah,
As in
and it's
Josh
like
O'Connor's character and Mike Face's character, you mean?
Mike Face character,
Art and
yes. The fine, yeah,
yeah.
both of them are equating their own friendship and their own relationship with the game itself.
Sure.
What that was the massive problem they were having, right? They were having trouble disconnecting their relationship with Tashi
Yeah.
to the game itself because
Yeah.
it was so entangled. It's
Yeah.
a similar thing the film has with the viewers as well. Again, the tagline was everything is about sex except everything is about tennis except tennis. Tennis is about sex. I think the entire movie is decoupling that tennis and sex analogy and then simplifying it to basically establishing it within the two of them, two of
Sure.
the guys.
Yeah.
The
No.
voyeur ultimately is Zendaya's character, which is why we
Yeah.
don't see her until the
Mm.
end when she's shouting, "Oh, come on!" And because that is the climaxing, because that is the voyeur ultimately seeing the act of sexual release or
Yes.
a player release, effectively.
Yeah. Yeah. She wants to see a good effing
Yeah,
match, right? That's the
she
whole.
wants to see a good effing match. Yeah,
Yes. So
exactly.
give
Yeah,
it
so
to her, which the
give
film
it to
does.
her. Yes, effectively. Yeah.
Uh, And like, okay, they will have, that's a very nice quote actually. Yeah, I mean, it's also just a general. I think a lot of filmmakers do this, though. I feel like the whole
Yeah, yeah.
they
I mean,
do
the entire erotic thriller genre
thriller.
is
Yeah, yeah,
basically,
yeah,
yeah, kind of that
exactly.
only.
Okay, so
There's an erotic
otherwise,
thriller genre.
There used
yeah,
to
you
be
just
in the
watched no a
90s.
documentary.
Yeah. There
Don't
used to
talk
be in the
about it now.
90s. No,
I
I'm not
was
talking
I
about.
was going to I was going to come back with my genre literacy joke, guys. That's
Oh my
No, thank you. Do
God!
not.
Don't
Do
bring
not.
it. Don't bring
Do
it.
not bring it up.
This is in reference
She's
to
never going
Decision
to
to
let me
Leave.
down for that.
So it's
She's
okay.
never going to let me down for that.
Anyways, yes. So I think here Pixel Baba and Chris Patrick are talking about the new Luca Guadagnino film, which is coming out. When is it coming
Yeah,
out, guys? Is it this year? It's called Queer, if I'm not wrong,
I think it's this year ka end or next year. I think it's
by with
definitely
Daniel Craig in it.
with
So
Daniel Craig in it.
yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know if he's writing it or not. This is not
And
written
also,
by him. This is written
Pixel Baba
by
wants, Pixel Baba wants
what's the
Daniel
guy's
Craig to
name?
do a weird accent because he clearly remembers Logan Lucky.
No, even this Glass
Knives
Onion.
Out. Knives
Yeah,
Out.
and Knives
I
Out.
just recently discovered, while you guys are talking about important stuff, I just recently discovered that Daniel Craig has a very famous wife.
Rachel
Rachel Weisz?
Weisz.
You did not know.
Yes. Yeah, I
That's
had
a
no idea.
talented,
I was
talented
like,
couple.
oh
Yeah.
my God.
What is
Yeah.
the.
What a
Wait a second,
hot
hold on.
couple.
What is the name of the movie starring Rachel Weisz and Rachel McAdams? Both of them are in a relationship. Hold up. What's the name of that
Disobedience.
movie? Disobedience, yeah. Thank you.
I'm on
Great
fire today
movie.
with the with the
Yeah.
titles. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
I shall need a lot of help.
Great
Okay.
movie. Great movie. Recommendation to Ahendrila, watch it. Great movie.
Not sure it's great.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
It is great. It
It's a bit
is.
leery, to be honest, with the whole.
Yeah, yes. You can. Yeah. I understand what you mean.
Disobedience.
Yeah.
It's a bit
Disobedience,
leery.
yes.
It's very-
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
Sebastian
Very
Lelio,
hot
I
people I
think.
shall watch.
It's very hot, people, yes.
But those two are there. No, who else is there? Who's the third guy in it? Justin
I don't remember.
Kirkitz has written, or what?
Acha,
How do you?
okay, let me bring this up.
Kurits-
Let me
yeah,
bring this up
Kuritskis,
because
sorry.
because
I've
Dhruv has a
never-
problem with the family itself.
No,
Let
I
me bring
didn't
this.
have. I just appreciated the narrative structure of the film, so I
Justin
don't have a
Kurtzkes
problem.
is the husband of Celine Song who wrote and directed Past Lives, which Dhruv doesn't like. Which
Yeah,
is
so it's
why-
fine. But this is a much better film for me.
Yes,
Challengers.
this is a much better.
So, anyways,
So,
we can
yes.
swiftly move on from that and go to Baby Reindeer. I think we'll cover Ahendrila's two favorites only first.
Yes.
Favorites till
Let
the
us.
fourth,
No,
fifth
you can begin
episode,
with
right?
you can begin with something else and then come back to Baby
Okay, fine.
Reindeer. Anyway,
Okay,
it'll
fine.
take so little time.
Okay, okay. Then Amartya, we can go with A Night of Knowing Nothing by Payal
A
Kapadia.
Night of Knowing Nothing, yes. I
By
think
Payal
that is
Kapadia, who's the recent winner of the Grand Prix at
Khan.
Cannes, and hopefully her new film comes and gets a wonderful big release in India, which it I think
India as a
will. Yeah. नहीं मिलेगा उसमें. It's not a film like A Night of Knowing Nothing. So
I mean, I sincerely hope so because A Night of Knowing Nothing is unlike any documentary I have seen very recently, which is saying something.
it's
Because
docu-fiction only, right? It's both.
it's almost
sort of a-
docu-fiction. It's like, I think what I compared it to is the fact that if your documentary is supposed to be like an outsider view into an event, a documentary is supposed to be educating the viewer about an event or about something through quote unquote an outsider perspective. That's what a documentary ideally is.
Yeah.
I think A Night of Knowing Nothing is basically situating us inside FTII, inside the mindset of these students as they went through the turbulent era.
Yeah.
How Kapadia does it, via a personal letter to her lover, who she's easily getting disillusioned by, which is complemented by her disillusionment against her own country as the government is, issuing a crackdown. All are real events, by the way, but it's like it's seamlessly integrating the FTII, it's seamlessly integrating the real events with the quote-unquote fictional narrative, which you can't exactly call a fictional narrative as much as
it's
it
not.
is a tent.
Yeah.
It's
I
more
mean,
of a
it
tent, right? It's more of a
feels
tent.
like a fully nightmarish film. Like when I watched it, I was just like, this is like living inside someone's subconscious. Like they've just poured it out of themselves, like their being, and I
It's like
felt
a
immersed
it's
in
like
that
if you
sort
want
of.
to it's like if you're writing something, you can write something in stream of consciousness without
Yeah,
punctuation or anything like that, right?
yeah.
It's like stream of consciousness wise, you're just imparting visuals on the screen.
Yeah, but then it's also
That's it.
very well structured. So it's like, it's the
Yes.
combination of both worlds in actually a very good way. Like the
Yeah, it's
personal,
like
political, experimental, and classical, almost, you want to say, all these things are very much
it's
meshed
black and
together
white
in the.
imagery. It's black and white imagery, and not by black and white, I mean the film is extremely old. It's like
Hmm.
intentionally made old and damaged, like a
Yeah,
damaged negative kind of. So it gives off a very blurry, dusky look
yeah.
overall to the black and white imagery. And then she suddenly cuts to sepia toned imagery for even more flashbacking,
Yeah.
and then she cuts in front again towards the black and white imagery.
You
But
get
then
proper,
when
you get documentary footage of
yeah,
what is happening in India as of now also. And it,
yeah,
it
and
feels very
splicing in
seamless
imagery.
the way
Yeah,
it's moving through
splicing in
these things.
imagery with real life events while also imparting imagery of basic, how do I put this, basic living styles in a college or in an
Yeah,
institution in an FTII,
yeah.
while also trying through situating us into the narrative itself to debunk the narrative of film students as well as artistic students to be pretentious people who have some other
I mean,
sort of ideas about
you
their
can
country.
argue. I will not argue that, but I'm sure there are arguments that the style she employs here is very
Yeah, I was getting
affected
to
and
that.
very pretentious. Yes. So
I was getting to
yeah.
that, but it's like through a way, like there is a literal conversation in which FTII film students are arguing, right? And they are
Hmm.
arguing who is better, Shahrukh or Amir. And it's
Yeah.
like you get the idea immediately, or they are dancing to Chaya Chaya,
That's the
and it's like
opening of
that's the
the
opening
film. Yeah.
sequence. And
Yeah.
you understand immediately that the narrative constructed against these people, the movie is immediately debunking that.
Yeah.
And that is also a very loud statement overall. Now the question is whether this option of making a film which is in its own structure itself feels like obtuse.
Hmm.
What else are you going to do? Like,
Hmm.
how much of it, like, who is this for? The main question comes that if it is supposed to be your voice against the establishment,
Yeah.
shouldn't it be more simplified such that people could engage with it?
Yeah. I had this
But
debate with,
then,
not debate, but someone raised this question. And I thought it
yeah,
was
but then
pertinent. So yeah.
but then the question comes, and I think I can seamlessly integrate it with the next film I wanted to talk about, which I will talk about later. But I
Sure.
think it's a
No, you
similar
can go ahead
debacle
and
that
finish it now if they are making a good pairing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a similar debacle. It's a similar question that Minal Sen also kind of had, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
anti-establishment towards his own respect, right? It's like,
Yeah. Interview, right? It's called.
yeah, interview, Minal Sen's interview, which is
Yeah.
effectively like if you are, the basic plot is very simple, right? That a guy is going to go to a job interview, to basically crack it because he's one of the disenfranchised youth who wants a job because he's just come out of college and he can't find a job.
Mm-hmm.
A similar layout had been shown in Pratidwandi by
I was about to
Satyajit Ray.
ask.
Yes,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
this is very different because
Hmm.
the
You're
simplicity
coming in
of
with
the
all the like the film industry knowledge you need to come in with.
yeah, no, I'm bringing it all the knowledge that other people can
Yeah.
associate
Yeah.
with, because
Yeah.
otherwise there is no point. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's again, it's the Sorkin quote, right? The plot is the string, all
Hmm.
the clothes are the plot is the clothesline, all the clothes are the characters, and everything else
Sure.
you're hanging on it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
the basic plot of interview is that only, but within that, how the plot progresses, what are the difficulties this guy is facing,
Hmm.
okay, that is fascinating to me, which brings to mind a question which I had for Ahendrila. I needed to ask this. That
Ask.
is,
I have not zoned out. I am listening.
I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying something. It's like, the question is that, does Kafkaesque, the word Kafkaesque, does it only apply to something related to bureaucracy? And if not, what does Kafkaesque actually entail? Because I want to call this movie somewhat Kafkaesque to a certain degree, but I just needed to confirm. So
Does feel like a very viva question. Give me a minute. No, but truly, Kafkaesque is a feeling in literature, at least. In literature, it would entail a feeling where essentially, in simple words, it's an out of body or outside body feeling that you cannot intimately associate with the human experience. Now, of course, the question there and the existential question there that arises is the feeling, if a feeling that is so dissociated with your humanness, can that ever arise? Is it humanly possible to feel something that is absolutely not human? That is the existential aspect of it. But apart from that, it's Kafkaesque is essentially an out of body feeling, a feeling so unnatural, so inhuman that you almost feel like you have morphed into something else and someone else. And it's
I
just
know
one
where
of
to
those
link.
things.
I also know how to move on from this to something else. But okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
but
Yeah.
I think
No,
her.
what I wanted to also, because we were talking
Yeah.
about Interview, and that is a film that I watched. So
Yes.
uh
And I have not watched it. So yes, Ahendrila won me 0 for this.
Yeah, okay,
no,
okay.
but
So I have
this is
fascinating
because
things
it's
to
a
discuss
Milan.
about this. Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Okay, then. No, but the idea is that because you're talking about Interview here, and with respect to Interview, if you wanted to bring in the whole Kafkaesque like
Mm-hmm.
point of view to Interview itself, I think what comes in here is the fact that he has been asked to go in a simple Western suit,
Yes.
which for a man based out of Calcutta in that time, which is just post independence, and depending on all the context that the film has with the
I
labor
mean,
unions and with
I mean the
everything,
opening sequence
that
itself,
isn't
right? The opening
yeah,
sequence itself,
that
right?
isn't
The breaking of
that
all the
itself
colonized.
isn't
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that itself is an outer body experience for the
Exactly.
protagonist. So
Yes.
that can be Kafkaesque if it is set in modern times. You needn't necessarily get up next morning and turn into a cockroach to feel Kafkaesque, like essentially. So
Move on. Move on.
oh, okay. But yeah, so that's the thing. So here, that for him is also but the only difference there is that he wants to feel it, but there is always something that is holding him back,
Holding him back. Yes.
which are external factors. In a Kafkaesque, in like a real Kafkaesque feeling that a protagonist undergoes, he will be feeling these things because of external factors. So while a little bit of it is something that comes in from the inside, a lot of it also comes from the external factors, which
Sure.
is a lot about all of Kafka's books, right? Even if you
Yeah.
read the trial, things like that happen. It's because of the system that the
Hmm.
person is feeling like
That the
this.
person.
Yeah.
Here it's just the opposite. Here the situation is that he has been asked to do this by the system, and the
Okay.
system is also actively pushing against it,
Actively pushing
which is
against it.
why
Yes.
he is caught in the middle, which
Sure.
I think is a great, I mean, Dhruv, whenever you watch this, I
Yeah.
think it's a great, the limbo then.
Mm-hmm.
Mrinal Sen points it
Hmm.
out via the whole bus sequence,
Okay.
Yes.
which
I was going
then
to bring this up.
happens.
I was going to
Yeah,
bring
Okay.
so
this up.
it's the
Okay.
limbo. You're not there,
Sure.
but you're also on a road, and it's a journey, but the
Got
journey
it.
is inconclusive. And why it is
Sure.
And
inconclusive,
it's
what makes it
and it's also
inconclusive?
like
Hmm.
what Ahendrila brings up. I can associate this with something else also. It's like
Hmm.
if you think about this, because both of the system is pushing it back, the similar
Hmm.
thing applies to the maker of the film itself, right?
Sure.
Because this is a guy who is acting out against the establishment. So I'm associating this with The Night of Knowing Nothing, because his entire filmmaking style, if you look at this film, Dhruv, it's very French New Wave. It's like
Okay.
jump cuts throughout. It's jump cuts throughout.
Sure.
Okay.
But that easy.
And it's
That's a
also
little
like,
bit even in Pratidwandi, I think, right?
yeah, but
If I'm
like
not
this
wrong.
is very much a European feel to it. Okay. And Sen
Got it.
does it intentionally. He was very good at this. You know, he does. It's a style that even his protege sometimes wants to utilize but can't always do. Anjan
Yeah.
Dutt, for people who don't know. So his
Okay.
protege kind of wants to do, but not isn't entirely successful all the time. Utilizing
Sure.
the jump cuts and utilizing all of the, all of the situations and all of the all of the different sort of structures that Sen brings
Sure.
in this movie. Like, how do you depict climaxing? Immediately go towards a poster of of a poster of a woman actually climaxing,
Sure.
and then immediately cut back.
Using
And it's
sort
like,
of material that's
using
already there to sort
materials,
of. Yeah, got it.
but he's also highlighting materials which is also highlighting capitalism and its tendrils
Sure.
which are already entering
Sounds
inside
very
inside
Godard,
an
but I'm
establishment.
sure it's not
Yeah, it is.
as
It is.
smug
Yeah.
as that. So
No, he's not
I
smug.
guess.
He's very impish. There is a
Okay.
sequence. There is a sequence inside the bus where I can't believe this.
I mean,
Like when
impish is a word. Like I think I think I know which scene Omoto wants to talk about. It's the one where they close up into the face of this person and
yeah,
then the dialogues happen. Yeah. So
yeah.
Dhruv
It's
is
like
so lost right now.
No. I'm listening.
He's
No.
like
I'm
two
asking
Bengalis
if
typing
they.
on a film.
No. This sounds very much, and what Amartya drew the comparison is A Night of Knowing Nothing. So I've seen that, right? So in that sense, it's when you're saying when the camera closes up on someone and they are talking like voices from other places are using off the basically
This is
on
not
screen becomes
voices. This is
off screen.
yeah. This is both voices from other places, but in case of Sen, one of the many reasons why when I watched Podatik 10 years back, I could not connect with it. Now, after watching interview, I think I kind of get what Sen is going for. Sen
Okay.
is not subtle. In
Okay.
movies like this, Sen doesn't want subtlety. Sen wants basically to be a sledgehammer and beat you on the head with it.
Fair
Sen
enough. Which
wants to
is
go full stylized. Sen wants to
okay.
go full stylized. He even breaks the goddamn fourth wall. I saw that movie. I saw interview and Ranjit Mullik, the character, is basically saying, "Hello, namaskar. I'm Ranjit Mullik. I'm an actor." And I was
Okay.
like, it broke my brain. For a
Sure.
second, it broke my.
That's
It did not
very
break my. Yeah, it did not
inspired
break
by
my
that
brain.
movement.
Yeah, it did
Sure.
not break
Okay.
my brain because this is not the first fourth wall I have seen. It broke my
Sure.
brain because somebody in Bengali cinema actually had the audacity to do this.
In the 70s, and I think again very much
Yeah.
filtering that style. I mean, even though I know Ray, I've seen more Ray. I mean, I've not seen it shamefully, not seen any Mrinal Sen film, which I should correct. But
सर हम
I've
बंगाली है हमने भी नहीं देखा है टेंशन ना लो वी आर
आपने
आल्सो
अब देख लिया ना तो अब मैं भी चालू कर दूंगा. I don't
हाँ.
need to be Bengali to just watch this, so I will.
No,
I
I'm
will watch
saying
it
the shame
regardless.
is greater on this front. That's all I'm bringing this up.
ठीक है sir. It's
Why?
impossible to watch
I
everything.
thought
right?
I've
So you
actually
can't.
seen half the things.
It's okay. क्या फर्क
We are
पड़ता
not
है?
going
Anyways,
there. I mean, I
just
know-
to go ahead, Ahendrila. I'm gonna
No,
highlight comments after
but you
that.
have seen
Yeah.
interview. You have seen interview. You have seen a
Arey,
lot of.
I have seen interview because you know me, I watch weird films, but that's not the point. The point is ki, if there's no greater or lesser shape, you watch something you've not watched.
Agreed.
There is no onus on
Absolutely.
anybody to watch great films just because you belong to a certain culture.
No, but
Agreed.
it's like you also need. There is also the fact that there are some films which can only be watched after a couple of experiences to your
Sure.
own life, or after you have grown older, or after you think or believe that you have seen life enough to understand what the filmmaker is trying to say.
Sure.
You know, I think that if I had seen interview 10 years back, I would have hated it. Genuinely, I would have hated it. I think after
Now you like
seeing,
it, so it's good. Love it. So
yeah,
whatever.
it's like liking it. Matlab, kya
Were
hi
you in
bolo,
your
and it's-
early 20s? When
yeah,
years ago?
You're doing
Yeah.
the Parun role of revealing ages, huh? Nice.
yeah. She does it to me every day. It's fine. Don't
Okay,
worry
fine.
about it. It's
He's
fine.
an uncle.
Yeah, exactly. See, no, but
That's
the point
very
is,
direct. Yeah.
I think Dhruv. I think another.
I'm
thing
sold,
which
by the
really
way, huh?
reminded-
Your descriptions did sell it
No, I
very
think
well
the
to me.
ending. I think there is a ending sequence of interview which is fascinating to me more because it reminded me of Harakiri.
Wow.
Harakiri's ending. It reminded me of Harakiri's ending.
Interesting.
So
Don't say anymore. The ending is what like solidifies the film.
Sure.
exactly, completely,
got it.
entirely
Got it.
solidifies the film. But I'm like, it blew me away. But the reason why I connected that to A Night of Knowing Nothing is because both of the filmmakers' statement was we are against the establishment, so we will not go through conventional narrative norms as well. We will break the establishment through breaking conventional narrative norms itself.
Sure, got it. Yeah.
So we are not going to
As in
take
you're saying the
conventional filmmaking
form also
techniques.
becomes
Yeah,
sort of
form
a
also
radical
becomes a
departure
form of
from what's
yeah,
convention.
exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a very good argument for it. Someone did raise this argument about A Night of Knowing Nothing. Ki, who will see it except for the people who know this is true, which is I think like who are on the side of the filmmaker. Who else will see it? Which is I think a
Yes.
fair argument when art is made on a very because the inspirations to me at least when I watched A Night of Knowing Nothing were very much French as opposed to your Indian reference points or
India.
whatever.
Yeah.
Which is not like I loved the way she made the film, but I do agree that I can't recommend this to anyone really who isn't into film, which is a limitation. But again, that's on people to decide how much of a limitation that is. I think the film is just evocative so strongly of a feeling of what dread and hopelessness and some hope that exist in modern day India, that I think it's just pitched at that perfect level of
Yes.
from wherever I
To
saw it. Yeah.
to
Go
answer
ahead.
Pixel's question, which
No,
he
I'm
has
you.
just
Firstly, I'm gonna because A Night of Knowing Nothing was mentioned. This has to be mentioned. I think it's a complimentary sort of gift hota hai na ki,
I mean,
that you get. I'm not a
I
fan
mean,
of all that
I
breeds at
like
all.
that
So
documentary. To be very honest, I do like
you
it,
are
but I
much more
don't think
kind
it's
to
as
it than I
effective.
am at
I
least.
don't
So
think it's
yes,
as
yeah.
effective. To be very
Yeah.
honest with you, yeah.
So, anyways,
Especially in regards to situating it within modern times and situating it within modern politics, I don't think All That Bridge is that effective. I thought that it was very
Is it
shoehorned in.
the same as
pigeon. No,
is it
kite.
the
Sorry,
same
not pigeon.
that oh no, what I was talking about, is it the same as that monkey related thingy that we have? There's a
Which one?
monkey
Monkey Man.
related Delhi, no, Delhi में too many monkeys को लेके there is a docu fiction.
Ibaleo.
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 That's a
Yeah.
much better film, though. I think
That's a fiction, but that's a
that's
much better
fiction.
film. Yes.
I think All That
But
Breeds
that's
doesn't
docu
strike
fiction, right?
the. No,
Kind of, yes, kind of.
Ibaleo's like more
Ibalo is
fiction than
fiction. It's
doc,
like
though.
Pratik Watts
Okay.
himself situates it so much within reality that you can't exactly
Yeah.
look at it as
All That
Yeah, I
Breeds
mean
is like a
it's
documentary
very
that
real.
then feels very staged, I would say, in many
yes.
places. So it's a
Oh,
bit
I haven't watched, so
ropey in that sense. It's very well shot, which is also
It's
a problem.
extremely well
So
shot. It's
you
gorgeous to
get
look
that
at. Yeah.
when it becomes something becomes so well shot and well planned in a documentary, it becomes a
Yeah,
bit
that's a question,
dodgy, I
right? How
feel.
much more? How beautiful should a documentary be? Should
Yeah.
it be beautiful in the first place? Does it
Yes.
defeat the purpose? That's
Absolutely.
also an important
So
question.
yes, I'm just going to highlight a couple of more comments and then we'll move on to the other films. What is Sanjeet saying? Sanjeet said, "Dhruv, please flex about watching the new." There's no need to do that. But yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to flex about it. But
No.
docu-fiction, Godard. So I think the Godard Pratidwandi thing he did
Yeah,
bring
but
up
it's
as
even
you were
more so
saying.
here. I mean, if you
Sure.
watch interview, you will realize why I'm bringing it up.
More
Very much
abrasive
here.
in its style,
Yeah,
right?
very
I feel.
abrasive. Yeah.
Sure.
Very abrasive.
Got it. That's
I
fine.
think I watched a few minutes of Calcutta 71. Okay,
Sure.
that is like something else only. That opening
So, I
sequence
mean,
is something else
listen,
only.
I'm trying to get myself to like Godard more, so I've downloaded a lot of his films, and I will try and watch it, but I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah.
but
I want
I'm
to begin
curious to
with
watch the
Breathless.
Mrinal Sen. I've
Yeah,
seen
begin with
Breathless. I've
Breathless.
seen Breathless. It's good. I like Breathless.
I also think Breathless is the most accessible, because
He gets increasingly. Have you seen his recent 2020? It's basically like
the
art
image book
project.
I've seen. The image book I've
Yeah,
seen.
like it's
I like
basically
it, but I can understand why. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
yes,
Anyway.
Pixel Baba downloaded Godard films. Yes,
Yes.
not the Grand Prix winner. I didn't download that. If you're wondering
Yes.
again, no. Anyways, we will move on to I guess my favorites then.
Godard
Then
has a
we'll
very Picasso quality to his movies. It just gets more abstract as it
Abstract,
gets.
yes.
Fun.
yes, definitely.
I like
Or in Bangla, it's called Aro Chora hai. Basically, Aro Chora hai, as the kind of.
What is the
I
literal
have
translation?
It means for Dhruv, for you, it means something फैल जाता है.
फैल
Okay.
जाता है
Okay, got it.
basically.
ठीक. हाँ, Fela, that's very true. His filmography is a bit like that. I'm not a fan. So I mean, I respect his craft, but I'm not a fan. With multiple times I've said this, so I think it should be emphasized. Anyways,
Yes.
we will move on to a film which is available, quote unquote, online.
Yes.
These films are available. Just tell me again. Interviews available on YouTube and Amazon, right?
Interview is available on YouTube, on Amazon. I think it's also available on Hoichoi. If people
Okay.
want to
A
watch
Night
it
of
through
Knowing
there,
Nothing is on
Yeah.
Criterion, and
on Criterion channel.
I'm pretty
If
sure
people can't
it's on
access it,
online.
there are ways to access it. Yes.
Sure.
And it's also available online. Yes.
Yeah, and similar with Challenges is available everywhere. So to rent, to download, to do whatever. So
Challenges is
choose
available
your.
to rent and to download. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to come on July for the US people. I think it's coming on Peacock.
Acha,
And
okay,
yeah, it's going to stream
sure.
on Peacock. Yeah.
We don't
So
support. Okay, sure. We are not
okay,
that
sure.
hypocritical,
Okay, sure,
pixel
sure,
Baba,
sure.
to make that
Sure.
statement. Anyways,
Yes, yes.
the first movie I have a recommendation is actually it's between a short film and a feature, whatever you want to call it. It's
Are we
Kiyoshi
going to talk about
Kurosawa's.
Kiyoshi-san's new movie?
Yes, Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Chime, Kaim. How do you want to pronounce it?
Time. Time.
Kaim? I thought it was
I think it is
Chime, but it
time.
doesn't matter.
I think it's time.
I thought so. It's something, but it
I
doesn't
think
matter.
the English
Call it
English
whatever you
honor
want.
student knows it a lot better than
Call
all
it
of us.
whatever you
So
want. I will
Yeah,
type the
I
name.
may
People will
not.
choose whatever to.
you don't? That's
I
disappointing.
may not.
Okay.
I'm glad.
Anyways,
That you,
the film. If anyone's not aware of the director, the director is Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who's a fairly reputable name in your art house circuit. I feel more than
not even
anywhere
art house.
else.
I think he's also quite mainstream if you think about it.
Okay,
He
yeah,
is
fair enough. With
mainstream
his
there.
older films, definitely. Arvind, sorry, how do you
Okay.
access?
Hold on. I'll explain this to people. Okay. Criterion isn't available in India on Google Play. The APK file, the Android file, is available to download. So you can download it and you can legally pay the amount you want through the Android service. You can do that.
There are
Criterion
simpler
channel ka
ways.
webs
There are
Criterion
simpler
channel ka
ways you can
website you can
message
access
someone
anywhere.
and they will give you the password like a shameless person, which I've done to a
No.
lot of
Don't do
people.
that. Don't do that. That person can't have any more slots to give. So don't do that. The
Whom
person
can I
Anyways,
message?
the person directly left. But
anyways.
the thing is the website itself you can access anyway. Okay, but
Yeah,
again,
I don't at least I have the account, then I don't have to use a VPN every time to access it.
no, you
So
can't, you
it
don't have to use
works.
the VPN.
Yeah,
The only problem people have with accessing is because the Android app is not available in Google Play India, but the
sure.
Android app overall is available anywhere else, so you can
Okay.
just download it because the app itself is, you can open it in India, no issue,
This
but it's
all
very
sounds so
expensive, huh?
complicated.
Huh,
Just
huh,
go to a theater and watch.
Yeah,
go to
it's
the
very
theater,
expensive, huh?
or
Why
you
are
go
you
to
worried?
the
Why are you worried?
download kar lo, whatever comes out actually. I also do
Why
it
are
a
you
lot of times.
worried?
But
Yes.
anyways, Chime, Kaim, whatever you want to call it, is Kiyoshi Kurosawa's first film this year. I think he's releasing another film, which is a remake of his old film called Serpent's Path.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Which he's doing. I think he's remaking it in French, which is a very interesting move.
Interesting way to
Anyways,
go
Kiyoshi
about.
Kurosawa is known. I think the two main movies that he's known for are Cure and Pulse. Cure is 1997, and it's with Koji Yakusho, who's a
Koji
regular
Yakusho. Yeah.
co-collaborator. He's Perfect Days, right?
He is in Perfect Days for
By
people
Wim
who were
Wenders.
by Wim Wenders, yes.
Yeah. So no, but Kiyoshi Kurosawa's films are generally supremely unnerving in how they are shot and how they sort of communicate ideas which are supernatural, maybe explainable, maybe not explainable, but they have a distinct ability in general to create an atmosphere of dread, which I think if you sort of are in tune with the way he builds up tension, I think it's very hard to not be uh,
Creeped out.
discomforted by his work.
Yeah.
So I think Cure and Pulse both worked a lot for me. Chime, is the new film he made, which is available, as we discussed, online. And I think one of the key reasons, and we're not going to spoil much because I know it's not, even a lot of people haven't seen it, but to me, it's like anti-memoria, whatever that may, like for people who've seen a Pichat Pong, Verasithikul's Memoria, Chime works for me in the anti-register of it, in the sense that every sound and every voice that you begin to hear in the film more and more, and every sort of shadow that passes through,
It
when the train
becomes
is
a
passing,
sort
you
of
see a lot of
trigger.
shadows, right? I
It
think.
becomes a sort of trigger for you because you are increasingly
But you
getting
don't
freaked out.
know what the trigger is, which
Yeah, what the
which I
trigger is about.
know is a point of frustration for a lot of people. I find that for you also,
Including me.
but
Yes.
I find the lack of answers and the lack of wanting to get to the answer actually very compelling in this. I find every frame of the film very disquieting because I don't know where or what is actually causing these things. So I feel extremely unnerved, even just from the get go, just the way he shoots, like the camera pans down from like a air conditioner ka, it's making that gurring sound
Yeah.
almost, and then it comes down and you pan in, and then you get these shadows where you see reflections of some people, like the train is
The
passing but you see
trains,
a
the
reflection of a
trains
couple of people.
reflection, trains reflection hitting on the glass, basically.
Yeah,
That
and you
shadow
just,
which is.
yeah, I mean, I think a good reference point if people are looking for is, I feel, Yorgos Lanthimos' Killing of a Sacred Deer. A
Yes.
little bit. Even though that, in comparison to this, explains a lot. Because in this, it's like
I think the
very
best
open
comparison.
ended.
I think the best comparison would be Kurosawa's own movies, which I
Yes, of
think
course.
Time is basically homaging. He's homaging his own
Homaging
movies in a way.
himself.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
homaging himself because it feels like an unholy child of Pulse and Cure.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
definitely feels that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very weird.
Yeah.
Overall, it's very
But
weird.
I feel he.
But I
So
nothing.
yeah,
I
you said.
don't think, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
nothing beats Dhruv's idea of the fact that is anti-memoria. My
Anti-memory,
brain
yes.
just
Genuinely thought that.
my brain just exploded
Did your
because
brain
I
open
remember
up now?
watching that.
Yeah. Did your
No,
brain
Like
you
open
just
up
something
to
you
watched it,
already
no?
Time
know.
now?
So
No, I'm talking about
But
time. I'm talking about
yeah,
understanding
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Because
Arey,
because
all the
I
time
was
I'm not
I was
sarcastic towards you, man. You realize.
that's difficult to understand. But the point is ki, I mean, I watched it and then
yeah,
I was so unsettled by the film. I
yeah,
think that I was just like, what did I just watch?
yeah,
Because there's also a lot of there's the way the scenes pan out and the way
hmm,
the everydayness is also shown, which I believe
yeah,
somewhere adheres to your formalist style of
ha,
uh
Yes.
in films and all. So
Yes.
when you're doing that, it's so real that it's uncanny. That's
yeah.
the only thing that I could think about. But this whole
Hmm.
anti-memoria thing has just
No, but I think because it's about
okay then.
sound, right? Like there's this idea of chime, of course, is a sound in general, whatever, which the person keeps on saying he hears, but then that sort of transplants to other people in the story also. But
Which is why
there's
I think
this,
it is very much situating itself with Cure, right? Because
yeah, yeah,
Cure
yeah.
also same thing.
I
Cure
mean,
is just more
there's,
overt, utilizing that music box.
which I
Cure
feel
was
is
more.
but I feel the one limitation of Cure actually might be that it goes overdrive into explaining what the psychology and philosophy of the whole scary thing is. I think that's a bit too much because it locates it into one place.
I don't think it explains too much though. I think it explains just about enough. I think it
Fair
never
enough.
goes too
Fair
much
enough.
into like the origin of the ghost or origin of whatever the was in the
Fair
music
enough.
box or anything. None
Yeah.
of it.
No,
But it
but
explains.
to me,
Yeah,
the reason why this sort of just because it's like someone goes and clears out their trash, and the way he
yes.
shoots it is like the trash cans are like rumbling and making some different sort of noise, and I'm like, is that the reason, or is it like the doorbell which is ringing, which is like, like all sounds sort of start to feel extremely oppressive, and which ties into his whole. He's, I think, does modern urban space ka dystopia
Urban
almost
space
quite
dystopia, yes.
yeah. So maybe
While we
it's
are
that
discussing
who
very
knows.
important things, I'm just going to say something that may or
Bolo,
may not vibe with
diffuse
this
karo.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is did you also notice that there were too many cans in the trash bag?
I
The
did not
second time
notice
they
this,
showed it,
but
I
you.
was like, इतना
I
सारा,
mean,
I mean, can
I think,
why?
no, I think that was intentional. I
Hmm.
also I think that was intentional if we look, because one of my bigger issues with the movie is it's too ambiguous. But
Yep.
because it is ambiguous, it is also open to interpretation. I also think that this movie is kind of like that guy's own delusion, just overall acting. Like I think
I feel that's the
nobody
most
is.
boring like
Yeah,
explanation
most
of it.
boring interpretation. I understand most
Yeah,
boring interpretation, but it's also like
yeah,
it makes kind of sense also if you think about it that nobody's alive in that house, quote unquote. I think is
yeah,
basically just reliving that. I think the
yeah.
crime itself is kind of like a
No, but
trigger
what about
point.
the first person then?
Which person?
I mean, I'm not going to spoil it, but the person who hears the chime in the beginning. What about him? That can't be a delusion, right? That's a reality that he experiences. Or are you saying everything that
I
happens to
no
him
no
after that?
I think that's when the pulse ka thing comes in, na? Because pulse ka thing, what is pulse ka thing actually? Pulse ka thing is actually monotony and technology going hand in hand in basically forcing the society to go through a shared delusion and
Pulse
shared madness.
is a
That was
sad,
pulse.
sad horror movie. It's a
That is
very
one of the
Nice.
most depressing horror
depressing
movies I've
horror
seen in
movie.
my life.
So
Yeah.
many times I keep asking for horror movie suggestions. Amartya never told
Yeah, but
this.
Amartya didn't like Pulse as much. When I
I didn't
rewatched
like
Pulse,
pulse as much.
I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is like as dystopian a vision of like screen horror that can
No,
get,
but
because it's almost like
I
the
think I
screen becomes like a
associated crime.
specter, like a tunnel
Hmm.
for ghosts to invade
The internet
yeah.
is very much like the unexplored space of horror basically. I mean,
But
yeah,
Ahendrila, if you've connected with this sort of aesthetic of his, I think in general he is operating on these,
he's operating in that
on
wavelength
this
Wholly.
only.
mode only. So
Yeah,
this is
Because
his
I really,
zone.
I end up watching so much horror and trashy horror and all kinds of horror, honestly,
Yeah,
that I've really lost the flavor. That something new felt very nice, which is
yeah.
why, in general, feeling unsettled by something as basic as modern, like urban life symmetry,
Hmm.
was very refreshing.
I mean,
Is
there's
what.
this one
So
tracking shot which like begins, like it keeps
and
on
that
going as
opening
he's
wala tracking
running
shot to.
somewhere.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
what is happening? Like in the sense that you just don't have answers, which I think is always more,
I have a
wow, fun.
question though for Kiyoshi Kurosawa, for people like Kiyoshi Kurosawa, that you are opening up a new streaming service and this is the movie you're choosing to launch it with.
Is it? Okay, wow. This is
Roadstead.
the,
oh,
Yeah. You. This is the movie you're choosing to launch with.
wow,
Really? Wow, man.
interesting. Are you going to, sorry, I'm just going to discuss this and then I'll quickly move on to my next suggestion and then we'll go to Baby Reindeer. Debulina is asking, are you going to discuss Panchayat season 3? You've watched it, Amartya, right?
I have watched it. I did not like it that much. It's okay.
I'm not sure, Debulina, we will. I think we've had trouble before discussing TV series in one episode. I think we might try from next time onwards to bunch one or two episodes and discuss them like a weekly thing or something like that. But covering a whole show in one podcast episode also is like a bit too much of information overload. Like we experienced that with Fleabag, but I mean, that's a very loaded show in terms of stuff which is
Yeah, that's
going
a
on
lot
in
of
it also.
stuff.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, Panchayat, I've only seen season 1, so काफी homework here for me also. I don't think we'll be able
Congratulations.
to.
You have seen the best one.
Sure, okay.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Anyways, but I think Aryan has an article with High on Films on it, or did you
Yeah.
also write
Aryan
it?
reviewed it.
No.
Yeah. Aryan reviewed
Sure.
Panchayat
So
season.
yeah, and he did some reel also, if I'm not wrong. So you can probably check that out
Aryan
if
Vyas doing reels. Say it ain't so. That is so
okay,
shocking.
fine. I'm just promoting the work of our collaborators is all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you also have a Mr. and Mrs. Mahi review, so yes, that is also there. Yes.
पैसा मिलेगा और क्या चलो.
Okay, fine. That's a very
I'm very
charitable way of.
disillusioned with this entire thing.
What are we saying, Andrila?
no, you are just not.
Achha, okay.
Thank you.
Never mind. Point is,
I
we
am
can do
thoda
Bridgerton.
disillusioned by TVF stem brain stuff, to be honest.
That is
Okay, I
true.
think this.
That is true.
Bridgerton, I think, does Varun watch it?
No. No.
He only suggested, no? I was like thinking.
He suggested because he thought it would bring views. But
Sure.
what we could not explain to him because that would entail us watching it. And
I mean, I have no problems watching it, but it's a lot, right? Like the
I have
issue,
problems watching it. I don't have the wavelength to watch that show.
I wouldn't have a problem if it was like short, like it was like 2 seasons or
It's not
something. But
nothing about wavelength. Don't be so
hoity
masochistic.
toity.
Like
Yep.
there's
Masochist?
no waves.
Wait,
I don't know.
wait. Hold on
I
one
don't
second.
know.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. What is this
I'm just
word?
throwing words.
Masochist?
I mean, what do you mean I don't have the wavelength for it? It's a TV show, but it's a period drama, and people are, I mean, enticed and they want to dance together and later have sex in the garden. Like, what is it? What do you need wavelength for? This is the you switch it, keep it switched on at all times, and then you go
Correct.
around the
Chris
house
Patrick is
watching.
promising us more viewers also. So yeah.
See, I to will fool. I will host. I will only talk.
I
That's
told
my
Dhruv to bring her in. I told Dhruv to bring her in. If you guys are going to do a Bridgerton episode, bring her in. She's the only
See,
one I know
I
who
am
watches it.
I am totally. अगर मैंने देखा होता तो मैं कर लेता ना यार. Like I'm genuinely not seen it. How many seasons is it?
We will be silent moderators. We will later speak.
I
It's
can't be a
good
silent.
only.
ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है. Anyways, but Ahendrila, if you do just want a platform, we will join you and you can basically I'll ask
I
you
can just be
questions.
the person speaking.
Devulina can also come. She's also seen Bridgerton. So you've got a
So
good
there you go. You both can
yeah.
come. You both can come. We will moderate.
Moderate in the
Yeah.
softest,
In the softest ways,
Yes.
which is basically you guys stop. We are out of the way.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
will
no,
move
I'll
out
ask
of-
questions. I'm curious. What is the appeal? I mean, it is the sort of, what is it? Like, it's like a upper class thing, right? Upper class drama or whatever it is.
He
It's
explained.
as easy as it's a period it's a period drama which is romance fantasy sort of. I
Okay.
mean, fantasy is just because of how they are rewriting the whole Regency era thing, but
Sure.
apart from that, it's really period drama. Yeah,
Okay. मतलब rom-com type.
yeah,
Or
they are
no?
essentially what the whole idea of Bridgerton is that it is one
Sorry, I'm
serialized
sounding like a
fiction.
totally ancient person, but it's fine. I am an ancient
We are
No,
person.
no,
ancient.
they essentially want to course correct the whole this fiction that exists because it was only
Okay.
about all the rich white
White people.
people, and here they are bringing in all kinds of racialities, and they're showing how
Oh,
people migrated also back in the day, and they had a different status and
sure.
honors and all of that.
Sure,
So
sure, sure.
they are, yeah, they are trying
Got it.
to outsmart Jane Austen. I stand.
Okay, fine. So, next episode we will be planning is Bridgerton with Ahendrila and Debulina. If there are any other people who are interested
If there
to
are any
join,
other people, we are inviting you. Please come.
yes.
Please
Anyways,
come.
I'll quickly cover the second movie I watched, which I really liked, and it sort of leads into this whole horror element again, and it's again a lot actually about not knowing the exact source of horror.
I will talk about it because I have seen half of it. I will watch
Okay,
the next
fine.
half of it after the live stream. So
Sure.
chalo.
So it's called Targets. It's the debut
Bogdanovich.
debut feature film of Peter Bogdanovich, who's a big name in the sort of new American cinema of 70s.
He used to be a film critic. He used to be a film critic before going into filmmaking full time.
so it's
Yes.
that era only, like the whole
That
Godards
era,
and
yeah.
all was the same thing. So everyone
Kartik
was doing
Kaya's
it,
do
yeah.
cinema and all that jazz.
Yeah. So it's written by him, Polly Platt, and Sam Fuller, uncredited writer on it apparently. So he's the director of Shock Corridor. And
It
again,
sounds
that
like
times-
that. Yeah, there are some
Sure,
sequences
okay.
where it definitely feels
Okay.
like Fuller wrote
So it's
parts of it. Yeah.
Yeah, produced by Roger Corman, another big name, sort of, for the
Rest in peace. He
directors.
passed away
Yes, he
this
just passed
year,
away recently.
last month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's shot by Laszlo Kovacs. Again, I think he shot a lot of other stuff also, if I'm not wrong.
Laszlo Kovacs recently shot also a very interesting movie.
Apparently, yes. But yeah, anyways, this is like proper low budget, filmmaking of that era. And this, I will promote Criterion, so they are most welcome to sponsor us, of course. But I discovered this on that they have a feature essentially of Hollywood crack up the decade American
Yes.
cinema lost its mind.
I'm so excited to discover.
Yes.
I'm so excited
they,
to explore
so
that.
they have like this whole collection of, I think, mid to late 60s and early 70s my films that sort of came and sort of shook up the
Basically
Hollywood system, which
it's
was
the
already
swinging
collapsed.
60s. It's basically the swinging 60s of Hollywood to American New Wave. That's what they're covering.
Yep. Yeah.
More or
Which
less.
is basically you can kind of see the freedom in terms of filmmaking, narrative style in general sort of seep into all these films. And you see, I think a lot
or
of them
to
just.
sound extremely pretentious, the rise of auteurism, basically, in American cinema, quote unquote.
This is all due to your French New Wave. Huh?
Due
Like
to your
all
French, yeah.
this sort of started breathless and after that.
because
S-
for the Kayas to cinema people, they were like, the director is the only person responsible for each and every aspect of the film. The director is the sole voice.
I
That's
mean,
what whatever.
in the case of something like Targets, he is the editor and director and writer and
Yes,
stars in it. So
and
there is,
stars
you
in it.
can
Yes,
kind of see it. Most of it stacking up also in that sense.
yes.
Sanjeet, yes, I'm doing your job. You should basically create, one of those
He should
animation
create one
things.
of
It should
those
always pop out
reward
whenever we
signals.
say
Yeah,
it.
yeah, reward
Yeah,
signal.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, this film is again about two eras of horror in many ways. An era of the 60s and 70s horror, which
Era of
is
Hammer horror. Basically, it's
huh,
era of Hammer horror. Otherwise, why would you cast Boris Karloff?
Boris
It's a
Karloff, who
yeah,
originally played Frankenstein, right? Fra-
Frankenstein. Yes,
yeah,
Frankenstein. Yeah,
yeah, and the
not
idea is of
Frankenstein. I think the Mummy.
Mummy and Frankenstein both. I think he's played. He's not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dracula, I know, because
He's
Dracula
not
is
Dracula. Yeah,
insanely
yeah.
boring film. Sorry,
He
but
explained why are you laughing?
I'm just sorry. The guys just went from played Frankenstein, played Mummy, and then maybe
and to
played both.
Dracula. No,
Yes.
he's played both. He was the
He's
monster.
played both.
He's the
That's why I was
monster guy.
confused only. He's played
Yeah.
both.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can check on it if it's actually if he played the mummy, but he definitely played Frankenstein. That's his sort of signature role in many
Yeah,
ways, and
yeah.
then he
I
starred
think
in
a
Bride of
bigger
Frankenstein. and
casting
everything.
coup. I think a bigger casting coup would have been if Bogdanovich had got Christopher Lee, because Christopher Lee played Dracula in almost all of the Hammer horror movies.
Sure.
You know,
No, but I
so-
think I think the casting of Boris Karloff fits this a lot, because I think it is about the age of a of horror that is innocent enough to stick inside a screen. I think. Contrasted with a form of horror which is chilling
real life
and
psychotic
sort of
horror.
yeah, it's sort of broken the boundaries of slightly camp, slightly
Explain to the people who haven't seen what the synopsis is. Explain
of
of the film.
okay. So it's basically about
Is
two
Target
parallel
a 2023 film?
No, it is
no
1968.
1968.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say
So
1968.
it's about
have
two
my
parallel
attention.
narratives essentially. One of them involves Boris Karloff, Peter Bogdanovich, who is a director, up and coming director, and he's trying to basically cast him into his own film, which he's sort of an upcoming director. And Boris Karloff is basically like, I'm not going to act. I'll just write the title of the film we are discussing just so that it's clarified. But no, he's talking about the fact that he's a washed up actor. Essentially, no one
Yes.
likes those types of 30s, 40s horror films now. They all think it's funny, when in actuality they were scary, but they're like, how will they find that scary when what is happening right now, which is people, it's like someone has shot up a mall in,
It's
1968.
effectively intermixing Hollywood as well as the gun culture, which, mind you, is quite
Yeah.
prescient even now, because
Yeah.
America.
Exactly, yeah. So one storyline ka narrative
What?
is focused
It's
on
true.
the gun violence.
America's
Yes, yes.
obsession with guns is always there, right? This movie proves it even more. It's like,
Yeah, so one part of the narrative does focus on the Hollywood almost production of a horror movie, if
Yes.
you want to call it that, and the other one is on like genuinely real life, horror, where person goes nuts a little bit, like you don't know how it happened. Actually, you get minor hints, again a bit like Chime. You are trying to figure out what the reason for his mania is. I don't think they specify it exactly, which is I
but
think a positive.
Bogdanovich is very clear to identify and situate this guy. This guy is very much pure Americana. Okay, the
Yes.
60s Americana.
Yeah.
It's like he's calling his father sir. They both eat apple pie.
I think it's
have
post-Korean
ice
War,
cream,
right?
all that.
He's come
yeah,
back.
yeah.
He was in
Korean
the
War vet, yes,
so you can
Korean
attribute it a little bit to the PTSD sort of thing. Also, that's
Yeah,
quite odd
yeah.
here. So it's fairly
it's
open
like-
to interpretation. that
And it's
way.
like both of them like have fun times, quote unquote, and their fun times is basically shooting at targets with their
Yeah.
long range rifles, and it's all that stuff. And this guy apparently, quote unquote loses his mind, though we get the hints that he has some issues. He
Yeah, I mean, I
clearly
forgot
doesn't
the
like
last
the fact
line.
that his sister is going out on a job which has her working late nights.
Yeah, sorry, Ahendrila, you were saying something?
Very Interesting. No, very interesting because I have a book recommendation even though I haven't watched this movie.
No
Just
problem.
by
Go
the
on.
description of
Hmm.
it. It is called At Night All Blood is Black. It
Okay.
won the
Yes.
International Booker, I think. It's a book by David Diop where
At
a
night,
Yes.
sorry, can you
Senegalese
repeat the
All
title?
blood
I'll
is
just
black.
put it.
At Night All Blood is Black.
Okay.
I remember this book. You were telling me about this book.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's a very favorite book of mine as well. So, it's about a Senegalese soldier essentially
Hmm.
who has
Hmm.
been fighting for the French army
Hmm.
during the World War I, and yeah, and it's about. I mean, he also has to like kill somebody, and then how that and the war itself affects him, and it's of course French
Sure.
To
warfare. It's a
connect
translation from French, but
Hmm.
to connect
yeah.
with her book to connect with
Hmm.
her book because she talks about a Senegalese soldier in the French War in World War
Hmm.
One. I would like to recommend a show which is
Okay.
extremely good. People
Hmm.
haven't seen this. It's Monsieur Spade.
Okay.
Uh, it came out this year. It's basically like if you guys have
Where?
seen the Maltese Falcon. Basically, if you guys have seen the Maltese Falcon, if you haven't, please watch the Maltese Falcon. Humphrey Bogart's
But does
character.
it work? Does it work if you've not seen the Maltese Falcon?
It
That is
works
more
very well if you
important.
haven't
Okay.
seen. It works very well if you
Right.
haven't seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically this detective. This detective, after one of his cases, he effectively retires to a French Riviera, you
Hmm.
know, and is a wealthy widower, but he is
Hmm.
forced to reckon with his past when,
Hmm.
you know, different factions start converging on his
Yeah.
location for varied reasons. It's a
Hmm.
fascinating book exactly because of how the French war is integrated
Sure.
into this conflict.
Got it.
It's very fascinating.
Interesting.
So
Yeah,
But
I
I
think you
think
mentioned this.
you
yes,
mentioned Monsieur Spade.
I
Is
love
where is
this.
it
I love
available?
this show. It's available for the US on AMC Plus. I think it will be
And
available by
for
Prime Video on
AMC
by the end of
Plus,
by the
that
end of
streaming
this year,
service which no one subscribes to.
which no one subscribes to, which I am really worried about. But I
Yeah.
think it will be available on Prime Video by the end of this year, so you just have to
Okay.
wait a couple of months.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, going back to targets and just sort of, I think the idea, especially the way the Bogdanovich shoots. Sorry, I don't mean to intend it
I think the
anyway
pun is
else.
intentional. Also, I think he
No.
clearly
I
made
mean,
that.
it's intentional in a film like Civil War, which we will be releasing an episode on sometime by Alex Garland. But a wreck from my side, Feet of Black Soldier. Okay. Swapnil
Melvin Van
recommends
Peebles.
this.
Nice.
So he's
Yeah.
also a fairly radical black filmmaker, right? So
Yeah,
I think
black
he's
filmmaker.
made,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
But no, I think the main thing about targets, which I find genuinely unnerving, like something like Chime actually, is this idea that the way he shows this person committing murders or committing gun violence is so it's done in a very matter of fact
Matter of
way.
fact. Yeah.
You just show it like he very casually just goes on top of a building and starts shooting people left, right, and center from his rifle. Like he aims at moving cars and he starts to just shoot them, and then he runs away. And then I think the finale of the film is a very interesting. What we've talked about old and new Hollywood, it like
Hmm.
clashes them in a very fascinating way, which involves a movie screen. Just to sort of
Nice.
so yeah, I think that's again. I think that era of films is always interesting. I feel so, and it always offers you something which is. I think
It's always fascinating to watch these movies which are like at the confliction point between two eras of filmmaking itself, right? It's like old Hollywood, new Hollywood. It's like filmmaking
yeah.
styles are also changing from studio system to auteur system. That's what it is.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You
get
see,
that.
I think there's a great that as you said, like it's when you move from one type of film industry to another, you see people really pushing into the other direction, and you see it,
Yes.
explode in a way which I think is very interesting. So yes, Targets is available on Criterion. I'm sure you can find it on everywhere else. It's because of Peter Bogdanovich. It's a fairly
Well known.
well-known film. So yes, please do seek it out. Boris Karloff is great in it, and yeah, that's from my side. And Swapnil, we disagree. Sorry, as usual, but. Anyways,
I
we will
need
be
to see this
discussing
movie.
Baby
Yeah.
Reindeer, which I mean, Civil War is a fairly divisive movie, so it's not a surprise that some people like it and some people hate it like that. So it's okay. But Baby Reindeer, yes, which I watched. When did it release actually?
Baby Reindeer released, I think, in
Two
May
months
or
back?
end of April or beginning of May or middle of May, something of that
Sure.
sort.
I mean, I really liked it. I think I think
I
Amartya liked
loved
it
it.
more than I did. I have some reservations, but
Hmm.
I think because you pitched it as like a Fleabag type thing, I'm like, I have too much affection for Fleabag to put this on a level with that, if
But
that
it
makes
kind of
sense.
is. It
I
kind
mean,
of
I
is
think
simply because I think it's simply because it came out of nowhere, right?
fair enough.
It came out of nowhere, and it's like
Yeah,
it is dealing with. It is very much like a singular voice acting out
yeah.
against every sort of convention, basically telling a story unvarnished. It definitely
Okay,
feels
yeah.
unvarnished.
That actually
Main
works
course.
very well in terms of the Baby Reindeer thing also. Yes, but okay. Go ahead.
Yes. So who's
I
going
mean, it
first?
does. Main course, तो अब क्या? I can make a food joke when someone said that. I didn't say it.
Yes. Who's
Uh,
going first?
Um,
Ahendrila,
whoever
you've
has watched the
seen
whole
it.
thing.
But no, but what struck you so much about the show till whatever point you watched, which is
Baby
episode 5, right?
Reindeer again. I've had like a really disruptive couple of
Sure.
more than a couple of months, and
Mm,
I haven't had uh, the patience to sit through shows. Baby
sure.
Reindeer is something that I could watch 4 episodes at one go, and then
Sure.
I did not have time because I had to go to bed for work the next day. But apart
Mm,
from, I mean, if that had not been the case, I would actually sit down and watch like all the 8 episodes at one go because it
yeah.
really captivated my attention. And I think what does the trick for me is the voiceover.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
am more intrigued by the voiceover because this is a voiceover that is
Mm,
not coming from a place of a certain personal bias.
yeah.
It says
Hmm.
very plainly, I could have done this, but I did not do it.
Yeah.
And that automatically shows a flaw in the voiceover itself. Also,
Yeah.
I think there is an element of the unreliability of the narrator here
Mm,
because the narrator is also so flippant. There has been some drug use, there has been some this, some
yeah.
that. It also does feel like a lot of sections that are then narrated, which are
Mm,
from the guy's point of view, they
yeah.
are quite unreliable. Which is why
Mhm.
I think, which also then adds the whole trick to it. Ki,
Okay.
okay, you are saying this, but also
Mm,
it doesn't really add up to the whole idea that you let her keep doing this
sure.
or something of that sort. So I don't know. It just particularly intrigued me because I thought one about the whole unreliability of the
Mm,
narrator scene, and
yeah.
the other one was certainly because of the voiceover. I think the voiceover does a great job for
Yeah.
me
I
personally,
mean, I think
and
that's
it's
also sorry, just to mention, that also links it very much to, as Amartya said, Fleabag, because the voiceover is very central to something like
mm.
that also. Anyways, but yeah.
Right, but is it necessarily breaking the fourth wall at all times? Because
I mean,
it feels more
It's not
like an
breaking the fourth
address
wall.
than a
It's
breaking
not.
of the fourth
Yeah,
wall.
yeah,
no,
it's
no.
not
I
breaking the
think
fourth
it's
wall.
it's telling yourself this story so that the pain of it might be
Yeah,
slightly lesser
or
than
or
if
that
you
you
showed
may
it
want to,
dramatically.
or maybe that is the version that you will want to believe. So
Believe,
it's like
yes.
rearranging the whole thing in
Absolutely.
your own head in a
Yes,
Very
certain
much
order.
so.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah,
Again, very,
so I
very
think
different ways you can
perspective.
read the voiceover and
Hmm.
how it's employed, and I think it's employed very well also, as Ahendrila was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only issue I think is that it takes certain beats of it just rank false to me, which is one to do with the relationship he has with one of his
Hmm.
girlfriend. Like there's a flippancy to the way that comes and goes, which I thought really like had a. I
But I
thought it.
think that contributed to the flawed character of his own, right? Like he's a
No, I thought it
person who is
painted her, painted. I think it's a them. No, right? It's a her, right? I'm pretty sure in the
I
show.
think it's a her. It's a
Her,
her. I
yeah, yeah.
think it's a her. Yeah.
So no, no, it's
We
but
can be safe and go with them.
No, no,
no, no, but I
no,
think
no.
it is a her
I'm
only.
trying to
So
remember how they were addressing themselves. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
they
no,
were
no, I
addressing
think
as her. Yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah.
but I think her character comes across as more cruel, I feel, and in a way which I didn't think I bought. I was like, I'm not sure the turn you gave to her character at one point I buy. So I'm not going to spoil it more than that, but there is a particular section in which her character does sort of, you know, move out of the show or goes to the sides essentially.
Yes.
So I was little and I was very unsold on the parents and his thing. I was like, that just dropped out of like nowhere. I was like, that I didn't buy the catharsis moment he has with his parents. So that's the
No,
two
but
moments
I
where
think
I was like,
no,
I didn't get it.
I think I bought it because I think if we look at what the show is ultimately about, the show is ultimately about his own self hatred, right? Like
Yeah,
he hates himself so much,
yeah,
and he, even though he knows whatever he's doing is wrong, he's still going to act on his impulses.
yeah,
And I think that gives the voiceover an added edge of tragedy to a certain degree, that
yeah,
this is
yeah.
a
It
guy
does.
who is understanding that what he's doing is wrong, because
Yeah,
the ending of the show is devastating. It's
it is.
it's mirroring that opening sequence itself, but in a very unique fashion. It's mirroring that opening sequence, and it's
I
like,
mean, I felt a lot of it was just what you want and the limits you go to get someone to at least listen to you or like understand you or in some capacity. I feel that
and
that's the whole.
considering what happens in episode 5,
Yes.
I considering that how the show ends,
Yeah.
it really makes you feel like you are not going to look at this character with any sort of sympathetic eyes, and even if you do, you are always going to feel at the back of your head, how much more can a human compromise just to
No,
get what he
I
wants
think
to a
okay.
certain extent.
I
But
thought when I
is the
watched the
whole
show, I
idea
was
of the
fairly
character
sympathetic.
itself? Sorry, sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, go
No,
ahead.
no,
No, I was just saying that my predominant sort of emotion towards the show was I felt really, really bad for a
yes,
lot of the people involved, but I did feel extremely probably bad for him because I
no, of
thought,
course,
and
but
that sympathy didn't reduce. In fact, by the end, it was just like you can sense what narrative structure he is employing to show how this sort of is something which is very hard to break through. The idea is that you can't break through your past traumas that easily. It's very hard to
yes.
go over them and sort of come out as someone who's uh, courageous and strong or whatever. But like it has that weight of very. It's a very sad show, of course, in that sense, but it's also
It's like taking the character arc itself and going for one steps forward, two
it's
steps
the
back. It's a
Manchester by the Sea sort of like thing. I feel a
kind
little
of,
bit.
but I don't think it is. I don't think it is like hammering home. I think it's worse. It's not
Yeah.
hammering home.
No,
It's
no,
like
he's
it's
trying to convince himself that
yes.
he's getting better, he's doing this, he's
Hmm.
doing that, or he's getting worse actually. But you do see behind that voiceover also that this is a person who is quite broken
You
in
realize,
in ways where.
and again, I know that I'm saying this even though behind the scenes we have been hearing that maybe the guy hasn't said all
Hmm.
the true things and everything. You
Yeah, there's a
realize for a
fair bit of
certain
controversy in the
fair bit of
that sort of
controversy, which to be fair for any popular show, this type of controversy
sure.
happens anyway. So
Also
take it with a
broke
grain of
through,
salt.
right? Like just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on Netflix.
But
So yeah.
again, it's like you realize that this is a guy who is through writing this show itself, he's exorcising his own demons anyway.
Hmm.
And the show itself and the narrative itself kind of feels that, you
Yeah.
feel that he's exorcising it.
But I didn't feel that he did exercise it, which is probably sadder. Like I feel
Again,
by
it's like,
the time
yeah,
of
yeah.
it, yeah, yeah,
Hmm. But again, I think I felt that he's exercising it, but I don't think he has entirely exercised it. I think this is a
yeah,
show which again is a step forward. I don't think he
yeah,
will ever be able to,
yeah.
break through this trauma,
And yeah,
whatever has happened.
this is like the dark comedy in which I
The
laughed
dark is more,
very little like in this.
yes.
Like I laughed in very like fits and spurts, but like so like again that's why the whole Fleabag thing I was saying, like Fleabag I've laughed a lot throughout. In
Hmm.
this the darkness as such or the undercurrent of it's not an undercurrent, it just sort of hits you.
Yes.
And it gets sort of more and more prominent actually, until you of course get wherever you do. But yeah, it's a very worthy show. It's very great. It's very well made. I feel like, it's um, there's very, again, this is the type of show which I'm very curious to read people who don't like it. I know, just because don't like it in the sense that how they are positioning the arguments against a show like this, because
Yeah.
there's an inherent ability to sympathize with shows which are about sympathy, which are about victims and traumas and everything. So, and I mean, this is a person, to the credit of the show creator, he's not someone he's self aware, critical enough. Actually, he's more than that. Actually,
It never
almost too
felt like
much.
it was. I
Yeah,
know it is weird to say that about a show which is quote unquote autobiographical, but it never
yeah.
felt like it was designed to elicit sympathy
No, I
forcefully.
don't think so. Yeah, yeah.
It was
No, it's
never felt like
too.
that.
I feel it's too. It like the person. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's still true, but person is hates himself enough to not make it. Uh, self. No, I mean it as mostly a
No,
thing,
no, we are
or a
laughing.
tendency
No, no, we are laughing
which
because
is
the
there in
unwelcome
people.
presence has arrived. So we are laughing
Oh.
because of that. No other reason. Continue.
Hi
Yes.
Varun, how are you? We are done, by the way, huh? 1 hour 35. This is probably one of our
Yes.
shorter episodes.
I
So
mean, they don't have to. We kinda know. Yeah.
Precisely.
this is the way
Yeah.
you end an episode, right? Like make it anticlimactic and make it really, really depressing again. Anyways, but yeah, more thoughts. Any other thoughts on Baby Reindeer? Which, and you can, I guess it's one of the shows which has been probably watched by a lot of the people who are listening in and who will listen in. So
Yes.
do drop in your thoughts about the show. What hit you about it? If you didn't like it, please tell us what you didn't like about it. I'm
Yeah.
very curious about that, because it's generally
I'm
received
also
a fair amount of
curious
praise.
to know about people who have seen it. Like, what do they think about the quote unquote like form of the show, how the show was structured, how the show was made?
Yeah.
Because in very emotionally charged shows like this, it is very hard for you to dissociate yourself and actually concentrate on that.
Yeah.
To a
I
certain
mean,
extent.
I got reminded in one sequence of King of Comedy, and I was like
Oh,
in
yeah,
the, yeah, which is a very,
yeah.
you see, it's a I won't spoil it, Ahendrila. You will see it. I think it's in the 6th or 7th episode.
It's in the seventh episode, sixth or seventh episode.
Yeah,
I
very
think I
hard.
understand which sequence you're talking about.
So yes, I think. But any other thoughts? Go ahead, and I will wrap it up very quickly, just to prove to Varun that we are more efficient when he's not here. Uh,
Yes, we are definitely
anyways,
more
yeah.
efficient. Yes.
I think this has been our most civil episode. Let's be very honest, I feel. Which is weird also
Yes,
when Amartya and Ahendrila are here, to be honest. But
that is very
I
weird.
think we have to say that Varun has a very big effect on our show, to
Yes.
both good and bad effects. Anyways, so I'll highlight some of the comments that have been made here. My favorite film I watched this May was Chalchitra Ekhon, which is
Chalchitra Icon. Yes.
Haram. Okay, I'm going to read that, but
Again,
Amartya, you didn't like
again,
it?
it's not that I didn't like. I liked it. I think this is Anjan Datta's strongest movie in a
Shalchitra is
very
what?
Anjan Datta's film. It's basically about the first time Anjan Datta met Meenal Sen. Anjan Datta is playing basically Meenal Sen, and a younger actor is playing his word Anjan
Arey,
Datta while they
this
were on the
reminded
sets of
me.
Chalchitra.
This reminded me when we were
Meenal
talking
Sen's
about
movie.
Chime. I forgot to mention Kiyoshi Kurosawa is the mentor of everyone's favorite Drive My Car director, Ryusuke
Okay.
Hamaguchi.
Ryusuke
If
Hamaguchi.
anyone's, yeah,
I had a very interesting point about Chime.
yeah.
It just occurred to me
Hmm.
because if we have, I mean, we have liked Chime. If
Hmm.
we have liked Chime,
Hmm.
then very uncannily a director, I don't remember name,
Hmm.
but his
Of
movie
course not.
that I can think about, the movie that I can think about is Herbert. It's a Bengali film.
Bengali movie. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, very formalist method
Hmm.
of storytelling, but
Hmm.
the concept itself is so unsettling. Like it's very everyday. Like it also has a lot of French New Wave
Sure.
of inspirations, by the
Stylization,
way.
yes.
But yeah, but it is so unsettling. After a point of time, you are like, what even is the point of this thing? But you are just watching it because you're so curious. Like you're left curious because of the particular presence of this protagonist, Herbert, which is just it's bizarre. Like there's no word for it. And it also essentially captures the whole political political sentiment of the Calcutta streets, of
Yes.
very specific
Sure.
political sentiment of Calcutta streets in the early 2000s. I think it's a film that won the national award in Bengali cinema back when it released, 2006, 2005, something of that sort. But yeah, Chime did uncannily remind me of.
That is a fascinating connection, by the way. I never thought about Hollywood, but now
I
that you
will
bring
watch
it up,
Herbert
yeah.
now.
That
But
bring it
how
up.
can someone do everything? Creator, writer, actor. I mean,
That's the
I'm none
auteur
of
theory.
none of these things. So it's very hard for me to answer
That's
this.
the auteur theory, right?
Uh,
That's
No, but I feel
effectively
a
the
lot
auteur
of
theory. Yeah.
no, but I think when you begin projects, a lot of times you have to do that also. Like if you're working on like minuscule budgets and you're trying to get your
When your
work.
story is so personal to a certain extent, I think
I
you
think you're
have to be.
passionate enough also to
Yeah, you're
be
passionate enough.
involved in all
Yes.
acts. I actually think the actor bit and the director bit is a bit difficult. Like I can't map it out how one does both. As a main
Yes,
actor
we
because
know.
he's the
Yes, we
central.
know examples of director come actors who have made movies. Yes,
As in,
I'm trying not to be snarky.
I don't know who you're referring to, but okay.
Last year Oscar
Sorry, I
nominee.
zoned out.
I'm not trying to.
Oh
be
my
snarky.
God! Again,
Yes.
no,
My
leave it.
God.
For that, you can
Yes.
listen to our
Which reminds
combination
me,
episode. Yeah.
I must plug in this one line because I'm so bamboozled by it. I've started watching Poor Things, and I don't understand where it's
Let's
going.
talk about it.
I'm very curious.
I have
I'm very
fallen
curious.
asleep watching Poor
Really?
Things. Oh my God, yeah, it's so
Damn,
good.
I'm a big fan of Poor Things, but okay.
I
I
was
like
just
it
like,
also. I
stop
have some
this,
issues, but I
dude.
like it also.
The only part I like is furious jumping. But apart
Of
from
course
that,
you do. Of course you do.
No, but I mean, a lot of
apart
people
from
that also received a lot of backlash. So it's again very much.
yeah, I mean, I understand where they're going with it. It's just that whatever they are trying to portray seems so rooted in patriarchal thinking itself that I'm unable to get even
I
one
think this
iota of
this was the
feminist
whole.
This is
concept
the
out of
first
it.
time Ahendrila and I are so much in agreement. I am shocked and I am going to fall down from my bed.
No, but I
This
mean,
is
we
insane.
don't have the
It's fine.
time to discuss Poor Things ka politics. But
But
I've always felt
But
that there
it's
is
necessary to
there.
a certain degree because
No.
that's a
I mean,
major problem I
we
have
have
also.
discussed it in that. Like, we don't have it.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can't discuss it now. I'm saying, in the sense that I think it becomes less into or less indicative of that being the only trait of Bella when she goes to the brothel and when her identity starts to fracture in a way where she starts to become numb while having sex with a lot of the male clans that she has. So I mean, it's twisted. Of course, it's twisted in various ways in that way. But I did feel that the film does push against this idea that she is only defined or her femininity is only defined by her.
I think
Does
yeah,
it
no,
push
go
against
ahead,
that though?
finish
That's
your
my
thought.
question. No, that does it push against that? That is my bigger question
No,
because
I have a different problem here. Sorry for interrupting. I
no,
have a
no,
different
you
problem
finish.
here. I think Frankenstein is the wrong reference. I
Sure.
mean, that's what Amartya had also told me when I was just like, what the fuck is happening? And Amartya was like, oh, look at it this way. I can't. I mean, but also, okay.
I
Point
never
is,
said it like that.
I
Oh,
know,
look at
I
this
know.
way. Yes.
I know him. Amartya was just trying to pacify me at 1:45 a.m. at night when I was just like, what am I
Yes.
watching? Why am I watching this? But the point is,
This
I
is
think
what
the
I go through.
point of
Yes.
reference, yeah, sorry, point of reference is wrong. If we instead try to look at Bella's story, Bella is the name, right? Yeah,
Bella is
Bella.
her name. Yes.
If we try to look at this instead as a Pygmalion story that has been given a Victorian punk spin to it,
Okay.
that makes
Wait.
more sense.
One
than
second.
Frankenstein.
Sure.
One second. Let me process that for a second.
No. What is Pygmalion? I was gonna. Can you expand on that briefly? Okay, we can't expand on that briefly, so it's okay.
I am not. I am
okay,
not. You
fine.
threw me in a rabbit hole. I am not.
Okay.
No,
No, but
but
Ahendrila, let's do
No, no,
let's
no. I think you're right. I think it is taking me time to process what you
no
exactly said.
let's. I'm being serious about that. We should do an episode based on something like this. And if you've seen the whole thing now, or no?
no, 15 minutes remaining. Some other day
15.
before calling
But
it.
it's more or less over only, right? So it's
It's
okay.
over only. More or less, it's over.
So ending. I have a problem with the ending more than anything else. But anyways, no. But let's discuss this with probably another text, which also maybe uses this in a way which works for you. I think that will be a very interesting, proper discussion. Like I don't want to
I
like
mean, to be
cram
fair-
it in here.
I mean, to be fair, if you are going to put poor things against something, it would only be fair to put it against another Lanthimos film.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Acha, Hendrila, explain what did you say, because Swapnil couldn't follow you.
I didn't like
Yeah,
the politics
no,
of
all I
Lanthimos'
said
earlier
was-
films, but the bear wrestling is a part of the fun of his film. But the bear, what do you mean by bear wrestling?
अरे politics का difficult.
Okay. I mean, I'm a big Lanthimos person in general, but no, I mean, I out of all of his films, I do feel more, of course, ambivalent on this Poor Things because of the content also, and I do think the ending kind of just rubs me the wrong way. I'm just like, now it becomes what you guys are positioning as a critique against it. I feel that's where it becomes most pronounced to me. But okay, but again, I would like to have a full discussion on it as opposed to condensing it here.
So
But-
my point just is that instead of looking at it like a new age, like do not think of it as Frankenstein, like in a redoing of Frankenstein in the modern day age, whatever. Instead, if we look at it as the Pygmalion myth itself, and if you want to take it another step further, maybe try and get into Carol Ann Duffy's poem on the Pygmalion myth itself, and how the whole story then plays on the Pygmalion myth, because there is literally no, I mean, we are not really coming from a place of feminist politics here. It is really a man's world and how the man is showing it to us.
I
a woman's
feel
story.
so. I'll be honest. Until the last frame of the film, I
Haven't
thought
watched.
I know. No. I thought the point of the film was very much because I mean his new film is called Kinds of Kindness,
Kinds of
which
Kindness,
which will not have any kinds of kindness.
Or kindness.
He is a director.
It's going
who's-
to be the most cruel movie ever.
Yeah, his directors are built
guarantee you.
on people being cruel to each other or cruelty, and I think that fact remained for me until the last point of the film. Right, I was like, the evolution of Bella for me was from a person who goes from total innocence to adopting the man's world's cruelty, essentially. Like to me, it's that dark
Which is
fairy
why-
tale.
Dhruv, let's do it. Pygmalion
Let's
myth.
do it. Perfect.
You will
Okay.
figure it out why
Sure.
everything fits into the bill, and
Got
that's
it.
why the perspective needs changing here.
Sure.
Because then it makes a lot more sense.
Okay. I mean, we will. This will be a fun. I think we should do a proper discussion on this. Like, I'm
We
being
need to
very
do a
genuine.
Proper discussion.
Yeah.
We need a proper discussion.
But thank you for bringing it up because we will. That's a good idea for us to carry forward, and we have enough empty weeks, I'm sure, to talk about good films
think
which are
so.
also divisive or
I
whatever.
think
You
June
want to
is
go
quite
divisive films.
packed. I think June itself
अरे
is
तो इस
quite
महीने के
packed.
बाद कर लेंगे ठीक है तो Ahendrila also needs to be free no she's not
Yes,
as ill
unlike
as you
unlike
said.
us
Yes.
jobless folks, she's actually
Yes.
busy. Yes, unlike us.
Okay, wait. I have a lot of comments, and then we'll sign off because I think we've discussed a lot. And okay, so what's the score on the new Maddock movie? Need Amartya and Dhruv to review it. What is this, Amartya?
What is this new Maddock movie? Mr. and Mrs. Mahi is a Maddock movie.
And Mrs.
I don't
Mahi, I
know.
think.
How can someone do it? So we've discussed this. Also speaking, okay, never mind. Okay. Arvind came across a write-up in FB that says, don't watch the show if your personal life is miserable. Is it that depressing? It is
No, my
depressing,
personal
but I
life is
don't...
quite miserable, but it's not that depressing. It's fine. You can move on.
It
No,
may
but
just
I-
make you feel better.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is just
it's
like
the reverse psychology thing. मेरे साथ तो
Yes.
बहुत काम करता है, so you can try that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Worked for me also. I was like,
Yeah.
at least I am not being stalked. So,
Kuwait will see a
or I
major
don't know.
uptick
I
in
live in
terms of
Delhi.
live
So,
stream length the busier I get. But you're not busy. You're spending time with family. Is that
Yes,
busy?
that is not
Do
being
you call
busy.
that work,
You
Varun?
actually have a life.
Are you? Does auntie know that you are? Calling the time spent with them actual like work time or whatever. I hope she listens to this. Anyways,
Yes.
okay, wait. I think this is for the Kiyoshi Kurosawa. Sir, Swapnil, no, I'm pretty sure some people don't know Kiyoshi Kurosawa. So,
Yes.
so I have to address this. Sorry, it's not trivia as Sanjeev
Most
says. It's
people don't
basic.
know who. Most
Yeah.
people don't know.
Kiyoshi greater. I think this comparison is a bit ludicrous, but okay. Sorry. It is ludicrous because they're very different filmmakers, I feel.
No, I didn't say anything. I just said okay.
Herbert is available on YouTube. Okay,
YouTube,
thank you,
yes.
Sanjeet. Shubhashish, so I think that's
Shubhashish
more
Mukherjee and Herbert,
Herbert
yes.
praise. Sorry for the rant, but you're not ranting, Arvind. Don't worry. You've seen us rant. This is no rant you are
This is
giving.
nothing.
Internet scammed me into watching Madagaskar Express, wondering how.
No, it is
I
not
mean,
that funny. You are not the only one. It's not that funny.
Listen,
Still,
that
it's
trailer
funny.
was the biggest turnoff. I still haven't been able to shake off how bad that trailer was to convince myself to watch Madagaskar Express. But anyways,
really?
okay,
That?
I hated.
It's
the
not
trailer.
that good. It's not.
Trailer I hated. I don't know about the movie. Yeah.
No, the movie is really not that
Might
good.
watch.
Herbert is our own Citizen Kane.
Citizen.
Hope that gets people excited to see it. See it, everyone. here. Please let's not let the Hira Mandi renewal pass. We did
I have
talk about
commented
it.
on it. I have commented on it. Don't
Sir,
worry.
आप
Watch the full
अकेले
live
नहीं
stream.
हो जो mean है दुनिया के लिए ना. We are also mean.
We are quite mean.
That was a poetic line.
Thanks, Amartya, for not being snarky. I think producer approves of today
Producer
Amartya,
approves.
of today's
Yeah.
Amartya, essentially.
Yes.
Ricky Gervais has done it really well on a smaller scale. I think he did the Afterlife. Afterlife is it
Afterlife.
called?
A really good show. Really
That's
good
also
show.
about his depression, I think, right?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Really good show.
Oh, okay.
And what about, has this guy done it? Nathan Fielder? Or Felder,
Nathan-
however you pronounce his...
Sir, Nathan Felder तो has done Nathan for you, The Curse, सब कुछ तो उसका ही है.
No, but has he done something? Some of those based on his personal whatever experiences or something like the curse
I
isn't.
have
I know
no
that,
idea.
but
I have no idea.
I was wondering about the
guy
other
is
ones.
quite weird. The guy is quite weird. I
Well,
have no
yeah,
idea.
the weird is the selling point of his whole
Yes.
thing. But anyways, the curse. Anyone who hasn't watched it, do watch it if you want really weird, really uncomfortable,
I need to
really
finish that show, but the show is quote unquote a masterpiece. I don't use
really
that word quite lightly.
effective. Like
Cringe
that's how you do
comedy.
social commentary. I think like you do it,
Yes.
and we've talked about Lanthimos. The whole aesthetic to me is like Lanthimos and
Also,
that.
Emma
Anyways,
Stone is
yeah.
choosing these directors like crazy. This is insane.
Emma Stone
Some of the
has
choices.
some weird choices. Let's just say that.
Yes.
Which is a good thing. I think. I
It's always
started
a good
loving.
thing.
So I think some people defended Poor Things. We discussed this. I think okay, we couldn't even. The favorite. Okay, I think Sanjeet is trying to say the favorite was great, which I think is great. Fleabag is also that creator, writer, actor. Also, Pushpavali is. Oh yeah, Pushpavali is.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I actually
Surmukhi-
like that show.
Surmukhi Suresh, I think.
So,
Yeah.
Suresh.
Yeah, that's also very uncomfortable comedy, right? I think wherever you get
Yes.
that. So you can expect an episode on not the whole filmography. I mean, I can link you an
I think
episode
Dhruv
where I've
has talked
discussed
about
it.
Yorgos's
Yeah.
filmography on Immersive Cinema ka podcast.
This is pre-Poor
So-
Things. So yeah, we can link
Yeah.
the immersive cinema where I was very enthusiastic and I talked after watching 4 Lanthimos movies in one day, rewatching them. Or 2 days, I couldn't stop praising him. But anyways, my main thing is I click with the sense of humor. Okay, so like I a lot of the things pass through for me.
Sir, you
in
like
that way.
people who are nihilistic and depressed. It's fine.
नहीं, I mean he's
चलता है.
cruel, no? Kyoshi घर
Yes,
के
exactly.
पास ही तो रहता है. What do you mean
हाँ,
Kyoshi घर
जापान
के
तो
पास?
सामने ही है सर.
अच्छा.
जापान तो सामने ही है.
The trailer was awful. I think this is the nephew
Madgaon
of
Express.
one of the persons starring in that movie saying. So you can imagine how.
So you
nephew
can
ही है ना?
imagine, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The writer.
Oh.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry, I'm not highlighting this. If Dhruv talks about Yorgos anymore, Mrs. Lanthimos will file a restraining order. Okay, fine. I mean, I don't think I'm as obsessive about him as you are about Karan Johar. So.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. I think this is the perfect time to end the show.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
Nepal. Who is
Yeah.
this?
This has now become uncharted territory.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I'm not sure I should end on this comment. Anyways,
Definitely not.
yeah, no, but thank you so much for listening to our live stream today. I think we discussed all the recommendations we had in great depth, and Ahendrila, on a departing note, also gave us a great topic that we should discuss for the podcast. We won't
I
be
know
discussing
that
on the
she
live
did that
stream.
quite intentionally.
No, but we won't be discussing it on the live stream. I think it's a fairly loaded topic in that sense, and I don't want people to, barge
Yes.
into whatever. I think we should talk about it in a proper podcast.
We need a
setting.
proper podcast for that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we will do that. Kejo reference definitely making a quit drinking game. Yes, you should, Chris.
Yes.
I mean, we are also
Yes,
doing
yes.
a whole episode on him in some senses. So
I'll be
yeah,
sitting with a tequila bottle every time I listen to a Kejo reference. In that episode,
Anyways.
yes.
Okay, then.
Yes, that is
Let's-
about it. Thank you, Hendrila. That is it. Thank you, Khatam, and we'll see you next week when we discuss Richard Linklater's Hitman, which is coming on
Hitman.
Netflix. Thank you. Bye.